Okay, Israel. Shalom, shalom, shalom. Hope everybody's doing well. You know, time is flying. We're looking up here. We're about to hit May. And Salakia for last night. We had some crazy storms. We didn't know how long the storms were going to be crazy for. So we had to shut down class last night. It was hail and everything. It was all crazy. But we're here now. We're here to get ready for class and get this word out. Shout out Kawakab, LA Judah, out of Guatemala. Shout out of isbhpk Houston, Rochester, New York, and Norfolk, Virginia. So without further ado, we're going to get these prayers in and get class started. I'm starting right there to see you now. Barakatah Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai.
Barakatah Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai.
Hawa'ah. Nathanawa. Awar. Zayawan. Thawada.
Aman. Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, that gives to us the light this day. Thanks, so be it.
Barakatah Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai.
Barakatah Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai.
Hawa'ah. Nathanawa. Rayach. Nayachacha. Thawada.
Aman. Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, that gives us sweet savor. Thank you, so be it.
Amajim Wapanya Yerushalayim.
Stand and face Jerusalem.
Okay. Barakatah Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai.
Barakatah Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai.
Hawa'ah. Nathanawa. B'Shabbat. B'Shalom. Water.
Aman. Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, that gives us the Sabbath in peace. Thank you, so be it.
Okay. Psalms 121. Anasha, Ayanyamya, Hohoyam, Ma'aya, Yabu'a, Isaiah, Yabu'a, Ma, Yahweh, Sha'isha, Shemaiah, Wa'aratiza, La'a, Yonathan, Lamawat, Regalia, Yala'a, Nawam, Shashamoyah, Hana, Yala'a, Nawam, Wala'a, Yeshon, Shashawamar, Yashar, Yahweh, Shemaiah, Yahweh, Tezalia, Ayo, Yanyamya, Yad, Hashemash, Yala'a, Hakaya, Bayawam, Wala'a, Halabana, Balayala, Yahweh, Yashimoya, Makol, Right, Yashimor, Napasha, Yahweh, Yashimor, Hawalakia, Wabu'aya, Ma'aita, Wa'ai, Iwalam, Aman.
I will lift up my eyes to the hills, from whence cometh my help. My help cometh from the Lord, which made heaven and earth. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. Behold, he that keepeth Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is thy keeper. The Lord is thy shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. The Lord shall preserve thy going out and thy coming in from this time forth and even forevermore. Amen.
Israelite credo. Shema Yashrallah,
Yahweh,
Eloheinu, Yahweh, Echad. Shema Yashrallah, Yahweh, Eloheinu, Yahweh, Echad. Shema Yashrallah, Yahweh, Eloheinu, Yahweh, Echad.
Hear Israel, Yahweh our power, Yahweh is one.
Lord's Prayer. Abanawa, Shabbat Shemayim, Kodash, Haya, Shemkav, Yahweh, Malak Wavkav, Vava'av, Ratazakav, Haya, Aisha, Ba'aratazah, Kawa, Haya, Bashemayim, Lepelanaw, Lacham, Kol, Yawam, Wasalachanaw, Chol Watinaw, Kasalachanaw, Chol Watinaw, Wala'ah, Tabi'anaw, Wadasawan, Abo, Hawashanaw, Mayan, Right, Kaya, Lakam, Amalakwa, Waha'ara, Wahathapa'arat, I will love you.
Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
Amen.
Ten Commandments. La'ah, Yahaya, Lakah, Alahaya, Achayim, Ayo, Panya.
Thou shalt have no other powers before me.
Number 2. La'ah, the Ainah, Lakah, Fasal, Wala'ah, the Aibara.
Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, nor serve them.
Number 3. La'ah, the Lachwacha, Sham, Yahweh, Bashawah.
Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy power in vain.
4. Zakar,
Hayawam,
Hashabat, Laquadashwa.
Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy.
Number 5. Kabad, Abaka, Ya'amaka.
Honor thy father and thy mother.
Number 6. La'ah, Tharatazah.
Thou shalt not kill, murder.
Number 7. La'ah, Thana'ah.
Thou shalt not commit adultery.
Number 8. La'ah, Thaganah.
Thou shalt not steal.
Number 9. La'ah, Ta'inah, Shakwa.
Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor.
Number 10. La'ah, Fachamat, Kol, Asherah, Lara'aika.
Thou shalt not covet anything which is thy neighbor's.
Birthday, how about Shem Yahshai?
Birthday, how about Shem Yahshai?
Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, that gives us the law.
Israel Yeshavim.
Take seats.
Alrighty. Last week, Shamshwan Dawiyat went over an extensive kind of breakdown on King Jotham of the southern kingdom. He went into his exploits, his strengths, and a lot of the magnificent works that Jotham put together. One of the challenges in teaching Kings and Chronicles is that you have to simultaneously explain what's happening with the southern kingdom along with kind of explaining what's going on with the northern kingdom at the same time, so that there is not a confusion. But there's a lot of times, like for today, you want to kind of focus on the northern kingdom and how the Assyrian Empire ends up taking them over. But there's a series of events in which the southern kingdom is intertwined with the northern kingdom, and it kind of gives an understanding as to why the Most High finally was fed up with the northern kingdom. We're going to kind of go into that today and kind of find out how the infighting between the north and the south is where the Most High said, I have enough of this crap. I'm taking out these northern kingdom people. So we're going to kind of explain how that went down. That's why the title of the class is Israelite Domestic Infighting. Okay, that's the beginning part of it, and then it kind of explains, instead of full title, it's Israelite Domestic Infighting, Foreign Invasion Looming. Because that foreign invasion is coming, was coming, and as they're fighting amongst each other, the nations are getting prepared to wipe us out. So, let's go to 2 Kings chapter 15, verse 23 to 29. Before that, Karai, let's get you saluted in.
Karaya, Shashabata, Banashar, Banacha'ala.
Karaya, Shashabata, Banashar, Banacha'ala. I mentioned, bro. Yahweh Shem Yahshua.
How about Shem Yahshua B'Katham?
Alright, Yahshua. Okay, so let's get this 2 Kings chapter 15, verse 23 through 29. We have to kind of go back just a little bit to kind of make sure we're all set for the direction we're going to take this class. So we're going into the time of Tiglath-Pileser and how they started taking out certain groups of the 9.5 tribes already. We read this 2 weeks ago, but we're going to briefly go over that again and then move forward. Where Tiglath-Pileser took over the land of Gilead, which the land of Gilead, which was Gad, Reuben, and half tribe Manasseh. And then it talks about how Naphtali was taken down, and a lot of the upper north tribes like Dan and so forth, they were wiped out.
This is a very important piece of history, right?
Okay.
This is the separation of northern and southern, which is attached to so many prophecies moving forward, right?
That's why we had to kind of take our time and slow this down. I don't want to rush through it.
Okay.
So let's read that.
2 Kings, chapter 15, verse 23 through 29. It says, in the 50th year of Azariah, king of Judah, Pekahiah, the son of Menahem, began to reign over Israel in Samaria and reigned 2 years.
Now don't forget, Menahem was the military. Matter of fact, read verse 20. Read verse 20.
2 Kings chapter 15 and verse 20.
It goes into Menahem real quick, and I want to kind of explain him really briefly. Read on.
And Menahem exacted the money of Israel, even of all the mighty men of wealth.
Matter of fact, Salakia, give me verse 19.
2 Kings chapter 15 and verse 19. And Pul, the king of Assyria, came against the land, and Menahem gave Pul 1,000 talents of silver.
So this was Pul, which was the son of the person that was a predecessor of Tiglath-Pileser. He came in, besieged Israel. He was the Assyrian king that besieged Israel, the northern kingdom. And Menahem was like, listen, you guys are all encamped in front of Samaria. I don't want this smoke. Let's do a buyout, and I'll be a vassal for you. We'll sit back here with our monies and just help funnel and supply and sustain your empire. Yes, sir.
I'm sorry. Could you refresh me on that? Who was Pul again?
Pul was the king of Assyria. Read verse 19.
Verse 19. And Pul, the king of Assyria.
He was the present king of Assyria when Menahem was in power over the northern tribes of Israel. Read on.
Came against the land, and Menahem gave Pul 1,000 talents of silver, that his hand might be with him to confirm the kingdom in his hand.
So what he's doing is, Menahem was making himself a vassal and a support to the Assyrian Empire. And as long as the northern tribes were just dropping bread and making the Assyrians rich, they'd let them sit back and rule, and the Assyrian king will back Menahem in all his endeavors and all of his fighting with other tribes and other nations. Read on.
Verse 20. And Menahem exacted the money of Israel, even of all the mighty men of wealth.
So now Menahem, the way he paid for it, was to sit back here and he taxed all the Israelites that were gaining prosperity over all the years prior. If we remember, Jeroboam, when he was in power, he was rich, he was successful, but he was wicked. And it was like the Most High allowed them to kind of get rich and get affluent and add to their territories. But at the same time, everybody that was getting rich just got taxed heavily to pay for these Assyrian conquerors that were at their doorstep. Read on.
Of each man 50 shekels of silver to give to the king of Assyria. So the king of Assyria turned back and stayed not there in the land.
Obviously, as you're seeing, you would imagine people didn't like that. But that was the situation at the time. What you're going to read, we're going to go on to BKC in a little bit, and it kind of shows how different kings were kind of raising up and fighting. Some of the kings were pushing pro-vassal. Other kings were just like, listen, forget this. We need to be independent and separate from these Assyrians. And that was the stance, the political stance, a lot of the northern kingdom was pushing at the time. Nobody was pushing the Most High and serving the Most High. They were operating on strictly a political level. But let's continue.
Verse 21. And the rest of acts of Menahem and all that he did, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel?
Read on.
And Menahem slept with his fathers, and Pekahiah, his son, reigned in his stead.
Okay, so Pekahiah came in after Menahem, which was his father. Read on.
In the 50th year of Azariah, king of Judah, Pekahiah, the son of Menahem, began to reign over Israel in Samaria, and reigned 2 years. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Most High. He departed not from the sins of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, who made Israel to sin. But Pekah, the son of Remaliah, a captain of his, conspired against him and smote him in Samaria.
Okay, so now we got Pekah, which was a captain under Pekah's military, ended up killing him. Right? Continue.
In the palace of the king's house, with Argob and Ariel, and with him 50 men of the Gileadites, and he killed him and reigned in his room. And the rest of the acts of Pekahiah and all that he did, behold, they are written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel.
Now listen, I want to read this real quick. In the BKC, it's the Bible Knowledge Commentary. It's page 568. And it said, part of Pekah's reason for opposing Menahem and his son Pekahiah seems to have been a different conviction regarding Israel's foreign policy towards Assyria. Menahem was conciliatory and willing to submit to Assyrian control. Pekah apparently favored a harder line of resistance. Popular reaction against Menahem's taxing of the people may have encouraged Pekah to make his move. So it wasn't just Pekah sitting back here just fighting and doing a coup just for the hell of it. He had political backing. Obviously, these rich, affluent Israelites of the northern kingdom didn't like this taxing process that was imposed on them. So they backed Pekah to take out, what was the other guy's name? That Pekahina or Pekahini or it was this, Pekahiah. So the ruling class backed Pekah to take out Pekahiah because of the taxing. They didn't like how they were getting hit in the pockets. Okay, now we keep going. It said when Pekah had taken power in Samaria, he made a treaty with Rezin, king of Damascus, against Assyria. And we're going to read about that also.
In Samaria?
Yes, no, yes. So what you're going to read, we're going to read in a little bit. Matter of fact, read verse 27.
2 Kings 15 and verse 27. In the 52nd year of Azariah, king of Judah, Pekah, the son of Remaliah, began to reign over Israel in Samaria and reigned 20 years. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Most High. He departed not from the sins of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, who made Israel to sin.
Now, we read earlier. Read verse 29 real quick.
Verse 29. In the days of Pekah, king of Israel, came Tiglath-Pileser, king of Assyria, and took Ijon and Abel Beth.
Say Ijon. Say Ijon.
Ijon.
I'm sorry. That sounds like a Spanish town. Ijon. But keep going. He took Ijon and what else?
Ijon and Abel Beth Maacah and Janoah and Kadesh and Hazar and Gilead and Galilee, all the land of Naphtali, and carried them captives to Assyria.
Now listen. Now we read that 2 weeks ago also, and we explained through the map work how all those tribes up north Ijon, Dan, Naphtali, they got taken out, and everybody east of Gilead got taken out. But the reason they got taken out is what we read just a second ago. I'm going to read it again in BKC. When Pekah had taken power in Samaria, he made a treaty with Rezin, king of Damascus. Then we're going to read about this Rezin very soon as we start to read more about King Ahaz of the southern kingdom. But once King Tiglath-Pileser found out that the northern kingdom was aligning themselves with Syria, not Assyria.
Yeah.
Syria.
There's a difference.
There's a difference. They aligned themselves with Syria. Now you got Tiglath had to sit back and break them. Tiglath came down and broke down half of the kingdom of northern kingdom in pieces and split them up and brought them back to their homeland of Assyria. They did that to weaken their army, to weaken their numbers, and to put the 9.5 tribes in subjection. It was okay as long as Menahem was paying and Pekahiah was paying, but Pekah didn't want to pay, and Pekah was in line with the ruling elites of the northern kingdom. So he got stung for that move. Are we clear so far?
So,
that?
So Pekah's aligned with Assyria.
No. Pekah, which was the northern kingdom king, aligned himself with Syria.
With Syria, okay.
Rezin was the king of Syria.
That's okay.
In retaliation,
With Rezin.
Tiglath-Pileser of Assyria came down and wiped out eastern Gilead, Dan, Naphtali, those northern tribes that are in the upper north part of the kingdom, and sent them to Assyria. So now the tribes up north are very small. Ephraim, Manasseh, you got Issachar, Asher, and that's about it. Everybody else are gone. But that was the sting. We talked about it before. That was the sting because whenever Israel didn't want to serve the head of the power that was coming to sting us for our wicked actions, he would sit back and put us in the worst bondage. Right. It's Israel that just didn't want to submit. We're going to read about Judah doing the same thing in regards to Babylon. And we're going to read about Hosea doing the same thing. And it's what spawned Assyria to wipe out the northern kingdom completely. So, well, let's keep in mind, the back of our mind for now, for today, Pekah, Rezin, which is the king of Syria, and we're going to be dealing with Ahaz, which is the king of the south. Now, Dawiyad in Shamshuan last week explained about Jotham and how righteous of a man he was. But then, right after that, he has a son named Ahaz. And this cat's off the chain. We're going to read about him very soon.
So, like, I just trying to make sure.
I know it's a lot of names and those P's and Is's and all that stuff is hard. What's that?
I'm just saying, this is important chapters. I'm just trying to make sure I get it.
Yeah. What's your question?
No, I just said Slocky. That's all.
No. So, now, we're going to jump to... let's just keep reading. Now we're going to keep reading 2 Kings 15, verse 30 through 38.
Con. 2 Kings chapter 15, verse 30 through 38. And Hoshea, the son of Elah, made a conspiracy against Pekah, the son of Remaliah, and smote him, and slew him, and reigned in his stead, in the 20th year of Jotham, the son of Uzziah.
So now we got Hoshea sitting back here and tripping and thinking he's got to take matters into his own hands and X out Pekah. Now listen, I want to make sure we understand, as we're reading 2 Kings, and we're reading what happened to Pekah, and we're reading how Pekah gets wiped out. As we read on in Isaiah, we're going to be reading in Chronicles, Pekah is still alive in the topic. Pekah is still alive for the majority of the story we're dealing with. You know, when you're reading in like 2 Kings 15, he's just giving a synopsis of what happened over periods of time, right? So, Pekah was in charge. When he was in charge, Tiglath-Pileser took half the kingdom. In response to the capture by the Assyrian Empire and losing half the population, down the line, Hoshea ends up setting up a conspiracy against Pekah. Read on. And the son of Remaliah, and smote him and slew him. Right? And reigned in his stead. Read on.
In the 20th year of Jotham, the son of Uzziah. And the rest of the acts of Pekah and all that he did, behold, they are written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel. Okay,
now I want to read this real quick. I didn't think I was going to be doing it, but I think I'm going to have to. It says, as a result of Israel's defeat by the Assyrians, Hoshea conspired against Pekah, assassinated him, and succeeded him as king. On one of the Assyrian inscriptions, Tiglath-Pileser claims to have had a hand in establishing Hoshea on the throne. So Tiglath-Pileser, the guy that wiped out Pekah's men and weakened their army, in Pileser's transcripts, he says he was one of the ones behind taking down Pekah. Why was that important? He was behind taking down Pekah because he understood regime change was needed to stay on top of the nation. It's like America does now. If you want to sit back here and control the land, you sit back and set up regime changes. You set up scenarios where one leader gets overthrown or gets voted out. This is why I guess the presidency in Brazil was so highly contested. Because whoever was going to win that was going to sit back and control what was Brazil going to be locked into, America or BRICS. All these, when you sit back and look at all these, like the Arab Springs, all these regime changes that was going on in Maidan, the Orange Revolution, the Tulip Revolution, which was in Georgia, the Denim Revolution in Belarus that didn't work out. These revolutions were all about regime change to push a democratic society in countries that didn't want quote-unquote democracy. But if you sit back and look into it deeper, it wasn't about democracy as much as these countries were willing to sign off on IMF deals, World Bank deals, and be a pawn in being taken for their natural resources by the United States. The greater game, there's a reason that there's a fighting for regime change in Sudan right now. I don't know if you've heard about it.
And in Africa in general.
Oh, I'm just using Sudan for one thing because that's the hotbed scenario. You have your regular military of the Sudanese, and then you have your elite Sudanese forces. And now you got the elite Sudanese forces backed by some Hamite general versus the president and the regular military, and they're fighting each other for control of Sudan. What they don't tell you is that, oh, by the way, the residing president of Sudan just signed a deal a few months ago with Russia to put a Navy base in Sudan.
Wow. That makes sense.
So now that there's a Navy base setting up construction in Sudan, America's like, no, we can't have that shit. You guys are too close to Israel. This Navy base in the Red Sea, you guys are too close to Israel. We can't have this. You already got a Russian military base and an Air Force base in Syria. I don't know if you know about that. There's a Russian Air Force base or Air Force and Navy in Syria. Syria is highly contested also. They want to side out. President Assad out. Assad aligns with Russia, with Putin. They want a regime change there so they can bring a puppet Syrian guy that they have stashed away in another country.
Yeah.
They have a Belarusian woman that's on America's side, stashed away in Lithuania or Estonia somewhere, waiting for Lomachenko to get ousted. They're trying to oust Lomachenko, which is the number one ally of Russia. Take her out, take him out, bring an American-backed Belarusian leader or president that will sit back and change policies and align themselves with America. That's what's happening all across the world.
Shadow game.
It's all shadow wars, shadow regime change, under the guise of a democratic government's in place that's pro-people. But if you sit back and look at Gaddafi, what was Gaddafi trying to get the people, get Africa to do?
gold, right? Trying to,
It was trying to back their entire economy off of
The gold standard.
the gold standard and take themselves off of the dollar. It was the same thing. It is the same thing China and Russia are doing now. They didn't have the military might to pull it off. So Gaddafi had a good idea. Listen, Gaddafi had free college and education for all the people, free health care. The people were completely taken care of. Educated, fed. They said when you're married, the government gives you a bonus. They give you enough money for your marriage, your first kid, you get money.
Yeah.
This was all a thing in Libya. Now it's war torn, and the children and now there's slavery going on back in Libya now. There's literal slavery in Libya now, and that was supposed to be a democratic solution to what Gaddafi already had in Libya. They took him out because he was uniting Africa and trying to separate them from being dependent on the U.S. dollar and being debt slaves by the IMF and the World Bank.
Right.
Because that's what it was. Listen, when you sit back here and take these BS World Bank deals, these BS World Bank loans, all of a sudden, when you can't pay it, now they say, listen, okay, you can't pay this debt, we know you can't pay it. Just think about this. If I'm an African country, and my version of the dollar in Ethiopia is 10 to 1 American dollars, how am I going to pay a debt back in the dollar?
Okay.
There's no way you're going to be able to pay it back. It's 10 to 1. And then they say, okay, we'll extend your loan. Not forgive it, we'll extend it. But what you're going to have to do now is you owe us more favors, so they owe you for ice, huh?
Exactly.
That's what's happening. What they tell you is this. Okay, now you can't produce your own rice and grain. So burn off all of your rice and grain farms. And you have to buy rice and grain from our rice and grain people.
Which means you cannot afford to feed your own people.
And you become now you're not self-sustaining. Now you're an economic slave financially, and there's resources. I got to go to America for resources now.
Right.
I can't even feed myself. And then, like, for instance, I always talk about this. I think it wasn't Pakistan, it was Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka was one of the poorest countries out there. They were in debt by the World Bank. The IMF came back and said, listen, man, you guys are going to be the guinea pig for this no nitrogen movement we're pushing. So now sit back here, don't put nitrogen in your fertilizer. And I want you to sit back and plant these crops, see how it goes. They did it. And then they sat back here and it yielded minus 70% net in their crops return. And now the people can't eat and sustain themselves. But that's what this green movement's about. What they're doing is they're trying to break the farms so the governments can come in and buy out the farms and control all the sources of food. They're doing the same thing in the Netherlands, and these white farmers are going crazy and not letting them do it. They're striking and protesting. And like, you're not going to take away our farms. But they want to take away all the farms and control all the sources of food and sustenance around the world. That's why Bill Gates owns damn near more than half of the farmland in America. China owns the other ones.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
In the Midwest. That's why China doesn't want the Midwest messed up. He wants to keep the Midwest, the breadbasket. He doesn't care about the coast. Even prophetically wise, the coast is going to get blown up and destroyed. The Midwest is what China wants, because they can sit back and feed their nation through the Midwest farming processes. Anyway, point is we're talking about regime change. And Pekka was taken out, and he was backed financially and militarily by the Assyrian king Tiglath-Pileser. So he backed Hosea, obviously with a handshake deal that if I get in here, Tiglath, I'll make sure I keep these 9.5 wild animals in line, and I'll make sure they pay their tariffs and pay their debt to you. So, because once again, a military can't sustain themselves unless you can feed them, unless you can pay them and take care of them. That was one of the reasons why Rome ended up falling apart, because they couldn't keep paying for the military-industrial complex.
To extend.
Same scenario we're here with America. The military-industrial complex is getting overstretched. They can't produce enough to even compete with Russia in these wars. That's another story. Point is, so having vassal states is cheaper and a better way to maintain your empire than constantly fighting and killing every nation around you. So instead of fighting hundreds of thousands of people, I can set up coups around the world and control the people from the top and not have to worry about any blowback. And I save collateral damage. I save my warriors, save my fighters to the guys that I really got to fight against. So this is why now Hoshea was getting replaced and got and bumped out Pekah in an assassination attempt. Does that make sense? The same game plan that was happening back then is happening now.
So
Esau just perfected it. So instead of it looking like, oh man, this wicked kingdom is this regime changing, America wraps it in a nice little pretty bow and calls it democracy. And that's where Esau's propaganda shines so bright.
Powerful.
Because America is the only country on earth that can rape, rob, pillage, destroy, regime change, and take out people. But most of the world thinks America is about righteousness.
For the good guys.
America's the good guys, and we stand for good.
Until recently.
But that's how you know everything is changing. But the funny is, even in America, most people are just sheep and think that, hey, yeah, it's just this bully Putin. Putin's a bully.
It's crazy.
And Zelensky is a freedom fighter.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
But people in America thinks it's okay.
Yeah.
The rest of the world calls America great Satan. But in America, we're in this cloud of mysticism. 9/11. Everybody goes, oh! Because everybody thinks it was these big crazy Ishmaelite guys. That was an inside job too. But anyway, I don't want to get banned off of this platform. What am I trying to say? Regime change has been going on from the beginning. The Assyrian king Tiglath-Pileser backed Hoshea, the king of Israel, to overthrow Pekah, because Pekah wasn't playing ball. Pekah wasn't trying to pay bills. Get it? So now Tiglath came in, slapped him on the wrist, took half of his nation away, and said, are you going to sit back and keep paying me or not? So that's where we're at right now. Where are we at in 2 Kings, sir?
We're in verse 32, sir.
Let me see. Yeah. Okay. Let's keep going.
Okay. 2 Kings chapter 15 and verse 32. In the second year of Pekah, the son of Remaliah, king of Israel, began Jotham, the son of Uzziah, king of Judah, to reign.
You see how it goes back to Pekah now? Because we just read how Hoshea in verse 30 took over Pekah.
Right.
But now you got to go back to when Pekah was reigning, because there was more details and situations that happened during Pekah's reign that hasn't been explained yet. So let's keep going.
Verse 33. 25 years old was he when he began to reign.
So now, like I said, Shamshuan and Daliah went over the reign of Jotham. So now, as Jotham was running his thing, Pekah was still in power in the northern kingdom. Read on.
And he reigned 16 years in Jerusalem, and his mother's name was Jerushah, the daughter of Zadok. And he did that which was right in the sight of the Most High. He did according to all that his father Uzziah had done.
Exactly. Listen, Jotham did good. He did better than Uzziah.
Yeah.
He did even better than Uzziah. But keep going.
Verse 35. Howbeit, the high places were not removed.
And I'm pretty sure they went into that last week about the high places and how, as good as he personally did to stay on top of his own spirit and his business, he wasn't proactive in making sure those individualistic Israelites didn't have a platform to show and push their individualism. Read on.
The people sacrificed and burned incense still in the high places. He built the higher gate of the house of the Most High.
So he did that on top of more things, I would imagine. Okay, a higher gate, which is greater defenses in Jerusalem. Read on.
Now the rest of the acts of Jotham and all that he did, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the Kings of Judah?
No doubt. Read on.
In those days, the Most High began to send against Judah Rezin, the king of Syria.
So now we got that guy Rezin's kicking in. So Rezin is sitting back here and starting beef. When there's little pockets of beef between Rezin, the king of Syria, not Assyria, Syria, and Judah are starting to fight. Read on.
And Pekah the son of Remaliah.
So now it's saying in those days, this is the time that Rezin, the king of Syria, and Pekah, the northern kingdom leader, are starting to have beef with the southern kingdom. Now we read about earlier how Pekah aligned himself with Syria to protect himself against who? Assyria. But now we're also reading that Pekah and Rezin have connected and combined forces to go and attack Jerusalem. I guess their thinking is this: if we can attack Jerusalem, that's another stronghold and fortification we can have to protect ourselves against the Assyrian onslaught that's on its way. Okay, so read on.
Verse 38. And Jotham slept with his fathers and was buried with his fathers in the city of David, his father.
Because he earned it. A lot of times it says some of these kings in Judah that was bozos didn't sit back and sleep with their father. They slept in separate sepulchres if they didn't live up to the standard of David. Read on.
And Ahaz, his son, reigned in his stead.
So Ahaz, he comes up into power after Jotham dies. Read on. Now we're going to read 16 verse 1 through 4.
Con. 2 Kings chapter 16 verses 1 through 4. In the 17th year of Pekah, the son of Remaliah, Ahaz, the son of Jotham, king of Judah, began to reign.
So now we're here again. Pekah is still in power while Ahaz is in power. Okay.
But it's another succession in Judah.
Well, yeah. Now we have Ahaz, which is the son of Jotham. Now he's in power in the south. And we already know that Pekah still ran and being negative, but establishing political policies. Don't forget, Pekah was anti-vassal. He was anti just dropping money to Assyria. He was trying to sit back here and get and set up his own Taco Bell KFC franchise. In two countries or two businesses are failing, what do? You combine them. Taco Bell wasn't going to make enough money alone. Neither was KFC. Yeah. So they combine forces.
Yeah.
That's what you do when your money's funny.
You put spire chicken. You make spire chicken out. Nobody want to eat it. Then you got to combine with somebody.
And it's spider chicken and it's like mystery meat.
Mystery meat and spider chicken.
Mystery meat and spider chicken. So now you put them together and you can tread water longer.
Yeah.
This is what the northern kingdom and Syria, because Syria, like we read earlier during the time of Elisha, Syria was on their downward slope already. Syria was going down. Northern kingdom of Israel was going down. They combined to stay afloat a lot longer. And also they have their eyes on Judah. But there's a reason they have their eyes on Judah. There's a reason that all of a sudden they're getting big bad confidence to take down Judah in the south. We're going to find out why. Read verse 2.
Con. 2 Kings chapter 16 and verse 2. 20 years old was Ahaz when he began to reign, and reigned 16 years in Jerusalem, and did not that which was right in the sight of the Most High his power.
Didn't Jotham last 16 years? I think Jotham, the good king, was in power for 16 years. Let me see. Yeah, he reigned 16 years too. It's weird how you had Jotham, which is a great king. He gave him 16 years. But then this wicked dude had 16 years too. Not sure why he did that. But now we have Ahaz reigned for 16 years, and he did not do that which is right in the eyes of the Heavenly Father. Read on.
Like David his father, but he walked in the way of the kings of Israel.
He was so bad. He was doing stuff like the northern kingdom kings was doing. Read on.
Yea, and made his son to pass through the fire.
He was serving Molech, bro.
He's fully committed.
This guy was all in, giving his kid up to Molech to get burned. Read on.
According to the abominations of the heathen.
But he had a good father.
Yeah. He had good rearing, good teachers, good etiquette.
It just shows what happens when, hey, listen, it's our children's job to
They
believe
gotta
this for
choose.
themselves.
They gotta
But we
choose.
can't make them believe.
We can't.
You can be the best example in the world. If a parent is a bad example, it makes it easier for them to commit that bad example. But if you're a good example, they still have to choose to be a good example.
It was the same thing with what was his name? Samuel. Samuel was a great man. All he did was live a selfless life. And what did his sons do after Samuel died? They was taking bribes, bending judgment, wresting judgment.
Mhm.
Samuel did everything that was right.
Yeah.
His sons are just dirtbags, both of them. So just because there's godly seed doesn't mean the kid's going to be godly also. You teach right, you be a good example, and you hope for the best. But each person is on the hook to sit back and be rightful in the eyes of the Heavenly Father. But let's continue.
It says, and he sacrificed and burnt incense in the high places.
There you go. Now this guy was about those high places. Like we talked about the two class about the high places. Some people served the Most High in the high places, and other people sat back and committed wickedness in the high places.
But it would have behooved him if his father had got rid of the high places.
It would have made it harder for him to sit back and establish these things if you would have eliminated the high places in total. Okay? What it's saying is if you eliminate the individual spirit, it makes it harder for anybody to be an individual.
Yeah.
Whether the intention is to do good or not. Well, let's keep going.
It says, and on the hills, and under every green tree.
Okay?
That's the end of verse 4.
We're gonna let that, no, we're not letting it go, but just hold it for us. We're going to BKC real quick, and we're going to go to page 640 in the Bible Knowledge Commentary. I'm going to read this real quick, just to give a little bit more edification on our guy Ahaz. Okay. Ahaz reigned alone for 16 years. Unlike David his father, Ahaz was evil, walking in the pattern of the kings of Israel, those in the northern kingdom, all of whom were wicked. He made Baal idols, offered sacrifices in the valley of Hinnom, which included human victims, even his own sons, and practiced the Canaanite cult on the high places and in the sacred groves. Human sacrifice was particularly associated with the Ammonite god Molech and was vehemently condemned in the law. It was practiced especially in the Hinnom Valley, just south and west of Jerusalem, a place later known as Gehenna Valley, and the proper name because of the fires which burned there, both in these sacrificial orgies and to consume garbage. So they were killing and they were committing orgies. It was all kind of foulness going on. Gehenna became a term for hell.
Ooh, wow.
Because that's all it was, all nothing but filth. It was nothing but filth going on.
Wow.
They were killing babies. It was orgies. It was all type of. I'm not going into all the details, but when you're dealing with the idolatry, you're dealing with the masculine deities and the feminine deities.
Oh.
And part of the demand is on top of the human sacrifice, there has to be a way that you give credence to both the masculine and feminine deities.
Yep.
And for the man, you have to tap into your femininity to appease the feminine gods.
Mm-hmm.
And the masculine gods. So there's a lot of, when they talk about these orgies, you can just imagine what's being required for the people to tap into.
Not just women.
It's not just we're having a fun time with a bunch of ladies. It ain't a club. It ain't the club vibe. It's the bad club vibe.
It's like that Woodstock theory when they just be in a big mud pit.
Yeah.
And they don't know whose gender is what, but everybody's just.
I don't know if you ever watched the movie Rockstar with Mark Wahlberg. A long time ago, everybody was high, drunk, partying, and you wake up, and then somebody you knew you was messing with wakes up and is in a urinal in the same place you're taking the urinal. It's taking the same stance, and you're sitting back. He's sitting back here like, what the hell just happened? He's sitting back here and saying, "What's up?" And they're both in the urinal like this, and like, what the hell? I thought you was a chick. And then you waking up, and you're like, I was drunk, I was high. Okay, that's what you want to tell yourself. If that's what you want to say, no problem. So the point is, this is what's happening in these orgies and in this debauchery, in the serving of these idols. during the time of Ahaz. Okay? Let me see. Let me check it out, sis. Let me check out the verse. Let me check out the verse.
You're the Syrian guys, right?
Okay, we're going to pull this verse. We're going to answer this question and then go back into class. Proverbs 22 and 6. The question was about on the note of raising our children one way and they turn out the other. Then how do we interpret Proverbs 22 and 6? Okay, let's read it. Somebody read Proverbs 22 and 6.
Proverbs chapter 22 and verse 6. Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it.
And my answer is this: that is the hope and the goal. But just real life examples, real life living it, doesn't always add up to that situation. I just want to go somewhere in the Josephus. And once again, I'm not here to sit back and take away the hope and the faith that if a person does things the right way and they're good parents and they teach kids the right way, that doesn't go a very long way in the development of your child, because it really does. But it also doesn't guarantee that they are going to take to the training and take to the teaching and accept and embrace what you're trying to teach. Because if that was the case, what was Jotham doing to Ahaz?
Look at Noah. Noah had Shem, Ham, and Japheth.
Yeah.
Shem was great.
Yeah.
Japheth was, no, we didn't hear any negative with Japheth.
Yeah.
But Ham was a demon.
Yeah.
This is after the whole world flooded. Everybody got off the ark. So everybody was dead. Who brought idolatry back in the earth? It came through who? Through Ham.
Mm-hmm.
He gave birth to Mizraim.
Two different households too. If a single household and you're raising one way and the other household.
Everybody raised their household a different way. And honestly, that scripture's talking about the critical mass. When you do things the right way, the critical mass, the majority of parents that teach their children the proper way, it's not 100% guaranteed, but majority of it, they'll end up pretty much better off. But with Israel, there's always a what? There's always a remnant. That's just how it goes. Remember, we're still dealing with reincarnation also. We can play the game how you want. I'm for the scripture 100%, but we're still dealing with reincarnation. We can't forget that when we have children, they're coming back from 3 to 4 generations ago. We can't tell you what they were doing 400 years ago, 500 years ago. What grove they was at. I don't know what grove they were at. I don't know what high place they were at. But we're trying to re-raise these children the proper way. Now we know that when everybody gets destroyed, when the world gets destroyed this time period, right? And then the remnant left of Israel have to do what? Repopulate the what? The earth. And then we're going to raise them again. We got to raise those same wicked spirits.
I got one.
Yeah, those same spirits that come back, we got to re-raise them in Christ again.
I want to go to this writing in Josephus. It's book 6. It's book 6, chapter 3, paragraph 2. Okay. Matter of fact, it's 1 and 2. Nagha, can you read this real quick? Josephus, book 6, chapter 3, paragraph 1 and 2. Because I think it's important to explain, I guess, why we take this stance about child rearing. This answer that we're given comes from a combination of living it, watching other families over 25 plus years, and just reading about the kings and how, like for instance, you're going to read about Ahaz was a wicked guy, but you know who his son was? Hezekiah, one of the greatest kings ever. And he was raised around a dog, you know what, father who was a piss poor example, and he chose righteousness. But then Ahaz's father was a righteous man, and Ahaz chose wickedness. So let's read that. let's get you saluted in Slaki. Yes, sir.
Nagaha, Shah Shabbatah, Ban Shemai Wan, Ban Yasha Allah.
Nagaha, Shah Shabbatah, Ban Shemai Wan, Ban Yasha Allah. And much. Yahweh Hashem Shabrakatah.
Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai Brakatham.
Now here we got 9.5 trying to fight us. It ain't like Samaria.
Yeah, for real. And also too, you have situations where the parents are completely negative, and that one child says, "I don't want to."
Well, that was what I said about Ahaz.
Yeah.
Ahaz is wicked. His son was Hezekiah, one of the greatest kings of all time, only rivaled by David. Hezekiah is one of the greatest kings ever, and his dad was a dirtbag. Why is that? Nobody knows. I would just say that was what we said.
Yeah.
Well, let's hit this up real quick.
Book 6, chapter 3, paragraph 1, page 153. But Samuel the prophet, when he had ordered the affairs of the people after a convenient manner, and had appointed a city for every district of them, he commanded them to come to such cities to have the controversies that they had one with another determined in them, he himself going over those cities twice in a year, and doing them justice. And by that means, he kept them in very good order for a long time.
So Samuel had a great run at keeping the nation in order when he made rotations to cities to deal with the problems, the discrepancies, the beefs, the issues. Okay, you would imagine he did it in between the Feast of Tabernacles and all those high holy days. You would imagine that's the best time to get these issues out the way because you're further away from being around you to fight a high holy day seasons. So, read on.
Paragraph 2. But afterwards, he found himself oppressed with old age.
You can only do it for so many years. You can only make that. This guy was on the road teaching and busting his tail. He can only be able to handle it for so long. Read on.
And not able to do what he used to do. So he committed the government and the care of the multitude to his sons, the elder of whom was called Joel, and the name of the younger was Abiah. He also enjoined them to reside and judge the people, the one at the city of Bethel, and the other at Beersheba. And
now Bethel was like the central part of the nation. Remember, Bethel was where they ended up having Jeroboam ended up having have one of the negative priests had their sacrifice when he came into power. It was Dan, Bethel, which is the central part of the nation, and Beersheba was the south. The far south was Beersheba. That was where Simeon was residing at the time. So he had his sons. One was in Beersheba, which is the farthest south, and Bethel was like the heart or the center of the nation. Read on.
And the other at Beersheba, and divided the people into districts that should be under the jurisdiction of each of them. Now these men afford us an evident example and demonstration how some children are not of the like dispositions with their parents.
This is just, you read scriptures, and the scriptures give us hope and focus and passion to do the right thing, to train, to develop, to teach. And all of our people deserve that attention and that development. You can't have a laissez-faire attitude and say, well, hey, if it happens, it happens. If they live right, they live right. It's up to the Father. No, it's not that. You have to train them up and teach them and invest. But even when you invest, it doesn't guarantee that every child's disposition is going to be the same as your passion to serve the Most High and your disposition toward the Most High. So read that again.
Come. Now these men afford us an evident example and demonstration how some children are not of the like dispositions with their parents, but sometimes perhaps good and moderate, though born of wicked parents.
He says, then sometimes you'll have moderate and good children, even though the parents are wicked. It's a mixed bag. You just don't know. All we can control is the energy and effort that we teach into the children. Read on.
And sometimes showing themselves to be wicked, though born of good parents. For these men turning aside from their father's good courses and taking a course that was contrary to them, perverted justice for the filthy lucre of gifts and bribes, and made their determinations not according to truth, but according to bribery, and turned aside to luxury.
So first of all, that means they said they didn't establish, I guess, justice, and they didn't establish judgment and truth. That means they knew judgment. They were taught right and wrong. They were trained to do the right thing, but they chose their flesh. All we can do is to train. Just like in Proverbs 22:6, we're supposed to train up a child the way they should go.
Yeah.
But they're going to decide how they want to play that afterwards.
You can't. Yeah, you can't.
They're going to decide after you train them. It's up to them to determine if they're going to follow their training or follow their will.
And one of the examples that we had, we went a couple classes back where that one guy's parents had died, but he was raised by a high priest.
Yeah.
And the high priest raised him.
Yeah.
But when the high priest died, he flipped the switch.
He went and started hanging out with his younger crew and following their example.
Yeah.
That person was obviously the kind of person who was a follower.
Yeah.
And they were going to follow the strongest influence that was in front of them at the time.
Yeah.
As long as that strong influence was there, he was strong. When there was a strong influence and the negative was there, he was going to be strong in the negative. But what's the point? You train them, and once you train them, you hope and pray that they receive the training. And that's it. Let's continue.
And a costly way of living, so that as, in the first place, they practiced what was contrary to the will of God, so did they, in the second place, what was contrary to the will of the prophet, their father, who had taken a great deal of care and made a very careful provision that the multitude should be righteous.
And that's all I want. It just shows. There's more to it, but I think that's the point. That you can't control your children and what they do. You can give them wisdom. You can show them the right way. But once you show them the right way with your teaching, and then they've seen your example, it's up to them to choose. It comes to a point that they got to choose your example, and they have to choose judgment and righteousness. And that's up to them down the line. And we can't control that. A lot of times Israel has this, as a whole, as a nation, we have this very controlling type of presence that we're godlike. I can sit back and I can change it for a person. I can fix a person. You can't fix a goddamn thing. Didn't Christ say, which one of you can change your stature by a cubit?
Right.
What was Christ going to say? You can't control nothing about you. So what makes you think you control somebody else? All we can do is be good examples, good leaders, good men, and pray and hope that the Most High sees that and allows our children's lessons to be quick, fast, and definite. So they'll learn from their mistakes quickly. So don't live in a perpetual 10 and 15 years of screwing up. That's what would eat me alive. If you're going to make your mistakes, make them in the first couple years of your adult life. Get them out the way, and hopefully that I pray that my works and sacrifice will allow that person who's making mistakes and is falling and stumbling, they get themselves back up and remember, hey, there was another way that you ran from in your teens. Come back home. That's what I ask for. Because none of us have the control to fix anything else. And these are facts. You do the best you can with the knowledge and information that you got at the time. And you fight to be a better example every day. And you pray for them and you hope that they can learn their lessons quickly. Does that make sense? I hope that answers your question too.
Which shows we don't have that much room as parents, as leaders. We don't have lots of room for mistakes.
Got it?
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, cool.
I had a scripture on that.
What you got? One. We can do one because we're going to look up and what you got?
Corinthians 3 and 7.
Let's see.
On your point.
I'm gonna type it in without looking at it. Because I believe in you, brother.
Believe in me.
Read it real quick. 1 Corinthians 3 and 7.
1 Corinthians 3 and 7. So then neither is he that planteth anything, neither he that watereth, but the Most High that giveth the increase.
And that's the truth. None of us have power. All we can do is hope that our examples and what we've taught and how we've lived penetrates and sticks and resonates in time. That's all you can do. You hope that it resonates in time. There's
that's
no
all
other
we got.
control. That's all you got. Now listen. If we're walking around here and telling us because we're Israelites, all our kids gonna be these golden Israelite children, you're crazy, bro. What fantasy world are you coming from, man? There's gonna be this gonna be the whole new generation of Israelites in a Majim Shabbat, ready to sit back here and they know all their Hebrew, they can talk in Hebrew, and they're gonna be the next generation. Okay, man, maybe one or two of them. Because that number is no different than the number of Israelites that come in and stay. How many guys that come in these doors stay? That's around the same amount of ratio that happens when our kids that get this knowledge from their youth up. How about that one? Yes.
What would you say, 10, 20%?
I can't give you numbers, man.
He wants numbers, son.
I either numbers. He like this.
This guy, he's a census guy. Census man. Hey, he was a census guy.
Yeah, I can't give you ballpark numbers. All I know is, but the funny thing is, there's some people that
you don't expect.
They don't get any in the Bible, and they're anti the Bible, then they come back and they want to serve the Most High.
Out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere. You don't know. You just don't know.
It really is life, man. I have a number for you, bro.
It's gonna low number. You know, don't tell.
No, I'm not talking bad. No,
I figured it was low.
No,
I'm gonna be honest.
It's fair. I mean, the seeds. I'm not gonna go there.
Because I'm gonna say this. Because some people, how about the fact that some people you invest a whole lot of time into, and they're just gonna follow high holidays, and just try to keep like 3/4 way keep the Sabbath.
Yeah, you're gonna give your life for us, and you're gonna get minimum in return. And it's not about you.
But you know,
it's not about you.
If that's what they want to give, that's what they want to give. Someone might just do that.
Yeah.
Anyway,
the Bible says there's many vessels in the house of the Lord.
Yep.
You know, wood, hay, stubble,
Yeah.
right? Gold, silver, precious stones. So
everybody thinks everything's gonna be gold. Everything is not gonna be gold.
We gotta
I promise
invest
you
and
that.
give. They're the Most High's children, bro.
There's gonna be some whole lot of hay in the barn now.
Yeah.
There's hay in the middle of the barn now. There's a whole lot of that. Dun, 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 dun.
You know what? Crucial.
I was in Oklahoma City when that song was out. It was going crazy at that time.
That's my jam.
And they say that all the time in that city.
I like the spirit of it, man.
It's energy. But anyway, I was in Oklahoma. I just got switched over from Albuquerque, and they were playing the hell out of that song when I was out there. I would have been out past too. I wasn't really into it. But anyway, it's okay. To each his own. So where are we at now? We're in 2 Kings 16 and verse 4. We read about how wicked this guy was, and we also went into BKC, page 640, about how he was burning kids and he was about that action, orgies, the whole nine, right? Read about that wickedness. Now we're going to sit back here and go to Isaiah chapter 20. No, I'm sorry. Isaiah chapter 7, verse 1 through 20. What's crazy is Isaiah was in the midst of being the prophet during all of this crazy times right now. Matter of fact, when you get Isaiah, I want to read Isaiah like 1 and 1 real quick. Then we're going to jump to number 7. Go. Isaiah was like a leader and a prophet. Read Isaiah 1 and 1 correct.
Kind of. Isaiah chapter 7 and 1.
One of the great ones. No, he wasn't the last one, was it? Because Daniel was. Yeah, what's that?
Is it 1 and 7?
1 and 1. Man, really, Ezra was ridiculous. Read that.
Isaiah chapter 1 and verse 1. The vision of Isaiah, the son of Amos, which he saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem in the days of Uzziah.
Uzziah, read on. Jotham. Ahaz is wicked dude we're about to talk about. Read on.
And Hezekiah.
He had a great run seeing all of the maturations of the kings out.
That's awesome, man.
Because Isaiah was potent. Because I'm telling you, after Elisha died, is when all these prophets are kind of getting out in the world. Amos, Joel, Jonah, Isaiah. They just emerged. Now, I can't say for a fact they all came from that school. he had, but it was a hell of a run on prophets after Elisha died. Hell of a run. So now we're in Isaiah chapter 7, and we're dealing with the prophecies the Most High had in regards to communicating with wicked Ahaz. Obviously, it got to the point where the Most High was getting tired of Ahaz's wickedness, his idolatry, his killing of children. So this is why Pekah and Rezin began to start conspiring against him. There's always a reason why it happens. So, give me verse 1, Isaiah chapter 7 and verse 1.
Con. Isaiah chapter 7 and verse 1. And it came to pass in the days of Ahaz, the son of Jotham, the son of Uzziah, king of Judah, that Rezin, the king of Syria, and Pekah, the son of Remaliah, king of Israel, went up toward Jerusalem to war against it.
So now they're coming up to Jerusalem. They've surrounded Jerusalem with the intent on besieging Jerusalem. And the intention goes deeper than just looting it. We're going to read this in a little bit. Because most of the time they come in, they loot the kingdom, and they get out of there. Because they got to get their supplies ready. And they get strong enough to where they can get their money and pay somebody else. Or they get enough money to try to buy more soldiers to go fight against Assyria. That will be normally the train of thinking that goes on when the besieging happens. But there's more to this besieging scenario that we're going to read about. Read on.
Con. It says, went up toward Jerusalem to war against it, but could not prevail against it.
They couldn't sit back here and break the walls. Don't forget, what king rebuilt the walls of Jerusalem and made them stronger? Jotham did. Jotham sat back and rebuilt the walls.
Yeah,
and then the next guy that came right back in, they couldn't break through the walls. Read on.
At least save the nation, huh?
Oh, not yet. He didn't save them. He just bought them time. Read on.
Verse 2. And it was told the house of David, saying, Syria is confederate with Ephraim.
So they're saying, listen, they say, hey man, Syria and Ephraim and northern half tribes are coming against you. Read on.
And his heart was moved.
Now all of a sudden Ahaz's heart was moved. Now he's shook. Now he's weak in the knees. Read on.
And the heart of his people, as the trees of the wood, are moved with the wind.
You know, when it's windy outside, like right now, the trees are going like this out.
Yeah.
Ahaz's legs is that way. His mind is that way. The people are nervous. They shook. Read on.
Then said the Most High unto Isaiah, Go forth now to meet Ahaz, thou and Jeshub, right?
Yep.
Thy son.
The son he didn't kill. Go talk to Ahaz and his son, the one he didn't kill. Read on.
It says, thy son at the end of the conduit of the upper pool in the highway of the fuller's field.
All that stuff means the fuller's field, the conduit. That's like east. That's on the east wing of Jerusalem. I don't have the map on me right now, but if I did, it will show you like it'll show you it is a fortified area, okay? But it's where I think it's the upper pool is near where the water area was on the east. Remember months and months ago we talked about how what's the brother's name? It was David's military captain, Joab. He went through the pool, and it was that eastern section. If you sit back and look at this picture on the camera, you'll see like it's broken up in two sections. The top of the first section is where David's house used to be. That pool is on the side right here. This is where the pool is. You see there's a little mount that kind of goes along the side that gets to where David's temple was. It's kind of hard to explain. I don't have like a red button or I can kind of walk it. Point is, the pool is here. Eventually, King Hezekiah cuts a hole and gets the water to come down here too. He extends the pool out. But that happened in Hezekiah's time period. Point is, what am I trying to say? Nutshell, Isaiah meets with Ahaz and his son in the upper pool area, right? Read verse 4.
Come. Isaiah chapter 7 and verse 4. And say unto him, take heed and be quiet. Fear not, neither be faint-hearted, for the two tails of these smoking firebrands, for the fierce anger of Rezin with Syria, and the son of Remaliah.
And of the son of Remaliah. So listen, he said, when you sit back here and meet Ahaz, tell Ahaz, don't worry about these two firebrands, these two nations, or these two people when they're large armies. Don't worry about them taking you out. Be at peace. Don't stress out. You're shook. You're shaking like the damn trees in the wind. Don't stress out. This is what Isaiah was told to tell Ahaz. Read on.
Verse 5. Because Syria, Ephraim, and the son of Remaliah,
Which is Pekah. Read on.
have taken evil counsel against thee, saying.
Now this is why the Most High is interfering and saying, don't stress out about Pekah and Rezin. It's not just because they want to go to war with you. Read on.
Verse 6. Let us go up against Judah and vex it.
So they want to go vex Judah. Read on.
And let us make a breach therein for us,
Read on.
and set a king in the midst of it, even the son of Tabiel.
That was where the Most High said, F these guys. It wasn't about just going to Jerusalem and taking gold. They wanted regime change. They want to take out the lineage of David. You see how that's when the Most High is like, forget this, man. I'm not going to let you get that close and take out my lineage. I know Ahaz is wicked, but the lineage of Christ is coming through this line. I'm not letting you take out David's line. That was why the Most High is like, he says, they was going to put some blockhead nigga named Tabiel in there, right? Some blockhead dude, right? We'll put Tabiel in there, and he'll sit back here, and we'll get all the resources of Jerusalem to funnel our war machine against Assyria. Read verse 6 again.
Isaiah chapter 7 and verse 6. Let us go up against Judah and vex it, and let us make a breach therein for us.
What is a breach? The breach is, we're going to sit back and put a breach in the lineage, in the kingship. We want to sit back here and put a breach in the kingship and put Tabiel in there and replace the lineage of David.
Wow.
Read on.
Says, and set a king in the midst of it, even the son of Tabiel.
So he's like, we want to put this new king in here, replace David's kingdom, and sit back and have vassals for us that take care of northern kingdom and Syria.
That's not the prophecy.
This is why the Most High had Isaiah go to Ahaz and say, listen, man, don't worry about it. You're going to be, your nation and bloodline is going to be in power regardless. Even though Ahaz was wicked, the Most High was like, I know you're wicked, but I'm not going to wipe out your lineage yet. I'm not going to wipe out your lineage because I still got Christ. The prophecy got to get fulfilled. I'm not going to let these guys get in the way of prophecy. You know what I'm saying? But this is where the Most High is like, now you're pissing me off, Northern Kingdom. Now you're pissing me off, Syria. Now I got to put hands on you. Now Christ, like, I'm sick of these effing snakes on this effing plane. When that happened, the movie changed. All of a sudden, the snakes got eradicated at that point. Huh? All this bad stuff was happening until Samuel said, man, I'm tired of these effing snakes. And all of a sudden, it was like 30 minutes after the movie, and the snakes started dying.
When the black man makes his mind up.
That was the point. So Christ, Most High is like, I'm tired of this stuff. That's it. Now I'm going to bust up Northern Kingdom, and I'm taking out Syria. Because now you crossed the line. What you going to say?
But man wouldn't be able to even perceive something like that because our perspective is always so circumstantial. We wouldn't be able to look that closely into something to see the intricate parts working behind and how we're affecting this. We're so situational.
Because Northern Kingdom is desperate.
Right.
They just lost half of their empire.
Like our mind is not like most.
Their empire just got split in half. I got to connect with Syria right now to survive. It's skin for skin. I got to take out Judah. If I make them a vassal state, like I know Assyria is trying to make us a vassal state, we can finance, we can get their soldiers, help us in this fight, and back off these Assyrians. That was the intricate plot. It's the truth, right? So now the Most High is intervening. It's like, listen, Isaiah, talk to Ahaz, let him know everything's going to be okay. I'm not going to let this regime change happen. Now listen, Ahaz lost people and they got busted up, but the regime change didn't happen. Yes.
So, okay, the Northern Kingdom didn't really have a respect for the Most High anyway, but did they know about the prophecy? They knew, right?
I would imagine they did.
But they have a tradition of
Hatred, because we're going to read into 8 and 9 of Isaiah that they hated each other. There was a major rift.
But they were taught the prophecy, though, right? Like,
listen, think about this. You think they cared about prophecy when they didn't care about serving the Most High
exactly.
on the right time anyway?
Right.
That's the point now.
in our own kingdom.
They didn't care anyway. So
crazy, man.
it got to it was so bad that they listen. What it also shows you is that there's different levels of offense. And the Most High just like, man, this is enough. This is grounds of me wiping you guys out.
Right.
And this was where it got to the point where he says, man, now I'm done with y'all.
It's blasphemous.
Now I got to eradicate you because you've crossed the line now.
Yeah.
Now you're trying to get in the way of prophecy.
Right.
And what I'm trying to do with my people.
He didn't let that happen.
That's the point.
Not fair.
So now let's get to verse 7.
Wow.
Isaiah chapter 7 and verse 7. Thus saith the Most High.
This one.
Come.
Yeah, read that.
Thus saith the Most High, it shall not stand, neither shall it come to pass.
This ain't gonna happen. This regime change, this blockhead nigga's never gonna see Jerusalem.
Come.
Okay, this sellout dude.
It's a lot in that statement.
I know.
Yeah.
Read on.
Verse 8. For the head of Syria is Damascus.
The head of Syria is Damascus. Damascus is the capital city of Syria as it is today. Read on.
And the head of Damascus is Rezin.
The head of Damascus is the king Rezin. Read on.
And within 65 years.
And within 65 years, read on.
Shall Ephraim be broken.
He says Ephraim's going to be broken, and they're going to be packing. They're going to be going fishing out. And read on.
That it be not a people.
He says Ephraim is not going to be a people no more. What does it mean? Does it mean that Ephraim is not going to know they're Ephraim?
No.
That's what it means. They're going to be Ephraim. They're just not going to know they're Ephraim.
Oh, really? Oh, man.
How do you know that? After they got captured and sent to Assyria, over time they lost track of who they were.
Right.
They lost track of who they were. They were calling themselves Vikings and Celts and Visigoths and Brits and all these different names over time. Because I'm cutting them. I'm turning my back from these guys now. They've crossed the line.
This is saying Israel, though, right?
This is Ephraim. Ephraim was referred to the northern kingdom. At that point, it's Ephraim and Judah.
Right.
Yes.
Ephraim as
the 9
head of the 9. Okay.
Listen, Gad, Reuben, half of Manasseh, Dan, they're already gone. They're already in Assyria getting broken. They don't go back home. They just spread out and go westward and go eastward and go northward. They end up becoming Vikings and all kinds of different names. Now all of a sudden they're not Ephraim anymore. They all of a sudden have lost touch to who they are as a nation. That's why they're called the lost tribes of Israel. Their actions forced the Most High to make them lost. Like, you want to sit back here and cross the line with me, you're going to be a forgotten people now.
Discontinue from your heritage. Discontinue from your heritage.
Well, just forgotten. They're going to be forgotten until the Most High wants to bring them back. Read on.
Verse 9. And the head of Ephraim is Samaria, and the head of Samaria is Remaliah's son.
Which was Pekah. Read on.
If ye will not believe, surely ye shall not be established.
If ye will not believe, surely ye shall not be established. Okay? Read on.
Verse 10. Moreover, the Most High spake again unto Ahaz, saying.
So once again, I'm going to say it again. It says, read verse 9 again.
Verse 9. And the head of Ephraim is Samaria, and the head of Samaria is Remaliah's son. If ye would not believe, surely ye shall not be established.
What is this sentence saying, and who is he talking to? Who is Isaiah talking to in this line?
Ahaz?
Yes.
Oh.
He just gave the prophecy of Ephraim breaking and Samaria breaking. And Syria breaking, Rezin. He says, if you won't believe this, you won't be established. He's like, I'm trying to let you know I'm with you. And I'm also giving you a chance to acknowledge me and stop doing this wickedness and serving Molech.
Wow. Mercy.
If you don't believe in me, you won't be established. You won't last long in your reign and empire. He's trying to give him a chance to reconcile and stop his evil ways. Read on.
And this also connects to Romans 14:23. Just real quick. He that doubteth is damned if he eat. So where did that come from? This is Paul writing about Romans, right?
Yep.
Was Paul just making stuff up and just coming off the dome? Was he freestyling? Or was it from the Old Testament?
What was that? What was that?
Romans 14:23.
Right.
Let's get it real quick.
Well, I'm going to say this. Don't forget, everything that y'all saying is right. Because listen, he didn't say that if you won't believe, the prophecy ain't going to happen. He said, if you don't believe, you're not going to be established.
You're not gonna.
I'm gonna still stick to what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But if you don't believe what I'm telling you, then you're going to fall. You're going to fall really soon.
Right.
Okay.
Romans chapter 14 and verse 23. And
verse 22.
Romans chapter 14 and verse 22. Hast thou faith? Have it to thyself before the Most High.
Faith is a responsibility, and we are responsible for maintaining it on our own. Read.
Happy is he that condemneth not himself in that thing which he alloweth.
So once the Most High gives me the opportunity to believe again, I have to let go of my past sins. Learn the lesson from them. There's a lesson in it. But I gotta move forward and do things the right way with faith. A lot of brothers like to live in the past and live in what I used to do. And I'm this, I'm that, and I can never get it right. And that mindset keeps them from actually practicing faith in the real time or in the current present time. Read on.
Verse 23. And he that doubteth is damned if he eat.
Where did he get the understanding of this from? Where did this understanding come from? It came from their history. So when Paul was teaching, what did Paul have to teach? What did he have?
The Old Testament.
He had the Old Testament. So Paul had the Old Testament, and he had to break the Old Testament down to brothers where? In Rome. But he had to break it down to them in a way that they could understand. Because when they were in Rome, they were in the age of philosophy. It was the Greco-Roman Empire. So the Greeks brought in what? The concept of philosophy. So they were educated in the concept of philosophy. So he had to take the Old Testament information, break it down to them so that it was understandable in their society. But it's the same idea. So was Paul making something new? All the Paul haters, was he saying anything new?
Lie.
It came from this scripture right here.
Yep. So listen, I want to read that last sentence
Yeah.
in verse 9 again. In Isaiah 7 and 9.
Isaiah chapter 7 and verse 9 says, if ye will not believe, surely ye shall not be established.
So listen, you know what's crazy? A person can sit back and say, man, the Most High is cold because the prophecy is coming to this guy and saying, if you don't believe, you're not going to be established. But we're going to see if the Most High opens the door and opens the option for belief. Okay? He didn't just say you better believe or you're not going to be established. He's going to open the door and the opportunity for him to try to believe in the Most High. Because obviously he didn't believe. It didn't matter what Jotham taught Ahaz. He didn't believe it himself. And this is the challenge in raising children. I can't put my faith into your head so you can have faith. You got to have faith by walking and serving the Most High and seeing the Most High coming through for you in your works. That is the only way you can get faith and establish a relationship. So obviously, the Most High is addressing Ahaz through Isaiah to try to give him an opportunity to have faith. He's already, his back is against the wall. He's stressed. He's afraid for his life. He's like, this is the chance I could come in and teach him faith. But he's got to trust me. How do I get a person that doesn't believe to trust me? We're going to sit back and read on in verse 10.
Come. Isaiah chapter 7 and verse 10. Moreover, the Most High spake again unto Ahaz, saying.
So now he's like, okay, listen, speak to Ahaz again. Okay, read on.
Verse 11. Ask thee a sign of the Most High thy power. Ask it either in the depth or in the height above.
So Isaiah is saying, Ahaz, what do you need from the Most High to show you for you to believe? He's giving Ahaz an opportunity to cleave to him. He's showing, but listen, he's showing you the Most High comes to us during a time of catastrophe and the threat of falling. This is how the Most High starts to talk to us. But he gives us these lifelines during these difficult times to give us an opportunity to reach out to him and follow him. So now this catastrophe's happened, sky's damn falling. Now the Most High is talking to Ahaz and saying, listen, what sign do you need for you to know that I'm here?
And my add to that, real fast, 1 Corinthians 10:13. On this same vein. 1 Corinthians 10:13.
Come. 1 Corinthians chapter 10 and verse 13.
Because we're gonna prove the parallel of Paul. Read it.
Come.
You're gonna push this Paul, man.
Yeah, we're pro Paul.
Push a P.
We're gonna push Paul. We're gonna prove the parallel of Paul. Because you know so the fakest stuff in the world, brothers will pull Paul and say, well, if you they'll pull scriptures when it benefits them. They'll pull Paul when it's the fakest thing in the world. I'm gonna pull Paul when it benefits me.
Right.
When it benefits what I'm trying to say and what I'm trying to teach. Say for those that believe in Paul, and they'll quote Paul scriptures. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but listen, you either believe or you don't. And if you don't believe in Paul, then always spit the Old Testament then. And when your information don't come out, don't make sense, when it's boring and it's not clear, that's on you. Don't pull Paul because it benefits you, and then say you don't believe him. That's phony. If you don't believe it, don't pull it. Read it real quick.
Come.
1 Corinthians 10:13. Brothers, if you believe in Paul, but you pull Paul when it benefits you.
When it makes you smile.
Wait. Read that real quick. Read real quick.
1 Corinthians chapter 10 and verse 13.
Uh-huh.
There have no temptation taken you, but such as is common to man.
But such as is common to man. Now, guess what? This brother right here was a man. His kingdom was about to fall. Right? Read.
But the Most High is faithful.
The Most High is always faithful. Honor thy God, thy power, I change not. Read.
Who will not suffer you to be tempted above that ye are able.
This man had no faith established. He had nothing built. He had been sinning for a long period of time. Even though he was taught. Read.
But will, with the temptation, also make a way to escape.
So what's the Most High doing for this king right here?
Make a way to escape.
He's making a way to escape.
He's giving a person with the escape.
I'm giving you an option,
but see,
bro.
the escape isn't like in the ways of running from something. The escape is you have a chance to escape your sin and cleave to the Most High. You have a chance to escape from the rut, the spiritual rut you're in, and cleave to the Most High so you can overcome the ruts in the situation you're in. I have another verse that kind of parallels it in regards to how the Most High tries to set a scenario up for you to choose and to prove Him. Malachi 3 and 10. Because all the Most High is trying to tell Ahaz is, let me prove to you that I'm real. What do I got to do to show you that I'm real and I'm trustworthy? This is the Most High pleading with Ahaz. What do I got to do to show you that I give a shit about you and I have your best interest at heart? Read Malachi 3 and 10.
Malachi chapter 3 and verse 10. Bring ye all the tithes into the storehouse, that there may be meat in mine house, and prove me now herewith.
So this is the Most High proving leadership, proving men.
Come.
Listen, if you commit to me, commit your resources to me and not for your individual pursuits,
Concept, yeah.
then I will prove to you that I'm real and I'm looking after you. That's how the Most High establishes approving grounds. He lays the foundation. It's just like we talk about in marriage counseling half the time. Okay, what is it that the husband has to do for the wife to show the wife that he gives a damn? What type of requests are you asking? And then once you ask those requests, and I do those requests, I need you also to do these things to show a reinforcement that you care about me in this marriage.
Exactly.
And that's how we prove each other. Does that make sense?
Sure.
A request is established. If the person meets that request, that means you're trying. That means this is real. That means we're continually fighting on one's behalf.
Yeah.
The Most High is saying the same thing in verse 10 in Malachi.
Come.
If you sit back here and you give these tithes and put it into the storehouse, that's your way of proving to the Most High that you're serious about serving Him. Then I'm going to sit back here behind that and prove myself to you. Read verse 10 again from the top.
Malachi chapter 3 and verse 10. Bring ye all the tithes into the storehouse, that there may be meat in mine house, and prove me now herewith, saith the Lord of hosts, if I will not open you the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing, that there shall not be room enough to receive
So
it.
this is what the Most High is saying. If you commit to me, I will prove to you that I'm real, and I will prove to you that I'm the one that you should be serving. That's what he's saying to Ahaz right now in Isaiah chapter 7 verse 11. Ask of me what you need for me to show you that I'm real.
And that's that way of escape. That's that option for
That
faith.
is the escape. The escape is, hey, you can follow this path and find success better than your spinning of your wheels with the life that you've already done and chosen.
And this is the benefit of parents that establish and teach righteousness in their homes to their children. Their children might be off for a period of time, but the option's always there because they have the background understanding information from their youth. They were raised with some consciousness towards the Most High. So now there is some type of opportunity for that information to spark and make sense to them.
Mm-hmm.
There's an opportunity to believe because at least there is a background or pattern that's been established. That's the benefit of doing righteousness. It might not guarantee righteous performance, but it's guaranteed that that information's there, that it was planted.
Okay. So, let's continue now. Isaiah 7 and 11.
Come. Isaiah chapter 7 and verse 11. Ask thee a sign of the Most High thy power. Ask it either in the depth or in the height above.
He's like, be specific with what you want so I can prove it to you. Remember when the Most High proved himself to Abraham?
Yeah.
Not Abraham. Or the burning bush with Moses. The burning bush with Moses. And when he sat back here, if I'm not, who was the brother? I think it was still Moses about the where he had the hand was one, but it was also about the fleece that was laid out at night, and the fleece wasn't wet, but all the grass around it was wet.
Yeah.
Was that Gideon? I think it was Gideon. I think it was Gideon in Judges. But the Most High kept
He did it a few times.
He did it a few times, but the Most High constantly, with the people he was working with, did certain things to show that individual that the Most High was worth following. And that you should trust yourself in me. Whether it was Moses putting the hand in his bosom and taking it out, or the snake putting the staff on the ground and all of a sudden it turned into a snake and he grabbed it and turns it back into a
And
staff.
with the nation making the waters to stand.
Yeah, but that, and then whether I'm just talking about the initial entry meetings between the Most High through the angel and that man. Burning bush. There's different scenarios the Most High did to prove himself to be real in front of the people the Most High was trying to work with. So when you talk about wicked Ahaz was wicked, but the Most High still gave Ahaz an opportunity to come back to the Most High. 1 second. Okay? So, read verse 11 again.
Isaiah chapter 7 and verse 11. Ask thee a sign of the Most High thy power. Ask it either in the depths or in the height above.
Exactly. Whatever you need me to do to show you I'm real, let me sit back here and show you for the preservation of my lineage and my line and to save your soul. Read on.
Verse 12. But Ahaz said, I will not ask, neither will I tempt the Most High.
Most High said, whatever you want me to do, I can show you so I can prove to you that I'm real. And Ahaz said, no, don't worry about it. I'm not going to ask you for anything. And I'm not going to tempt you. He pretty much just said, no, there's nothing I need you to show me that's going to make me sit back here and follow or trust you. Yes?
You know what's crazy? He's saying that he's not trying to tempt the Most High. He already tempted him based off.
That's my point.
That's crazy, yeah.
He said, I don't tempt
Yeah.
him. That's the point, bro.
Yeah.
Brother, but listen. But once again, I want you to read Wisdom of Solomon 1 and 2. Wisdom of Solomon 1 and 2. Now I'll read that.
Okay. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 1, verse 2.
Let me type this in real quick. Read that.
Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 1, verse 2. For he will be found of them that tempt him not.
So, listen, he says the Most High will be found in the people that don't tempt him. But what makes a person tempt the Most High? What are the mechanisms that set off tempting him? Read on.
And showeth himself unto such as do not distrust him.
Listen.
Wow, right there.
He says, but Ahaz says, I will not ask, neither will I tempt the Lord. He's like, I don't want to sit back here and show you that I don't trust you. But his actions leading up to here show that he didn't trust him. Why was he sitting back here serving his child up to Molech unless he didn't trust him?
Right.
Was what I'm saying making sense?
Yeah.
This is why the Most High is saying, Ahaz, what do I got to do to show you that I'm real?
Right.
And Ahaz's answer is, I'm not going to ask because I'm not going to sit back here. I'm not going to tempt you. Meaning, he's acknowledging the Most High is real, but he's just wicked.
He's being humble. Okay.
But he's being humble. Like, I don't want to sit back here and distrust you. I don't want to tempt you. I'm not going to ask for any sign. That was an opportunity. That was an opportunity for the Most High to show him and solidify his belief. But he didn't want to do that because, he heard of it. He just didn't want to trust and believe the Most High. Yeah.
Is he talking to him directly or through the prophet?
Through a prophet.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So this room where he's believing what the prophet is telling him.
Khan.
Khan.
Listen, don't forget, not Ahaz, but Ahab sat back here and knew the prophets were dropping the truth. And that Ahab was wicked as hell. But he knew the prophets were on point. They ran from the prophets, pretty much. So yeah, he knows himself. For the fact that he's simply saying, I'm not going to tempt the Lord. I don't need you to show me any signs for me to know that you're real. That's what he's saying. I don't need you to show me any signs to know that you're real. I know you're real anyway. But I still choose to do this wickedness.
I don't want to change that.
I'm doing me. I know you're real. I don't need you to me to tempt you. You know what? I know you're real. There's nothing you need to do to show me that you're not real. But I'm about these orgies.
Man.
I'm about this breaking these laws
I'm about my flesh.
and killing these babies. That's what he's saying. Isn't that what? But that's what Israel is
What he's
saying.
really saying is, I'm about the easy path.
Bro,
Let's not
I want to live comfortable.
Yeah, there you go. Let's not lie and say that we're not lying anyway. But let's not act like Israel doesn't like the easy path. The Most High is not the harder path.
Huh?
The Most High is always the harder, more challenging path. Diligence means painstaking effort. Key term is pain. So the Most High will bless you and will be with you if you take the painstaking path.
Mm-hmm.
That's the path of the Lord. But the other guys, they want the same results, the same stability, the same materialism, the same benefits, the same resources, the same longevity, the same ability to make decisions and be king, the same positive health, but without that uncomfortable, diligent path.
Get it out.
They want to without the righteous path.
Mm-hmm.
So what he's basically saying is, I don't want to do it the hard way, bro.
Well, and I acknowledge you're real.
Yeah.
I acknowledge you don't got to show me anything. I just want to do it this way. Because most times, like, maybe this guy just doesn't know I'm real, and that's why he's doing this wicked.
That's always a possibility.
Let me show him. This is how the Most High is giving this man the benefit of the doubt. Let me show him he's real. Let me do that. But he's like, no, I don't need you to show me. I'm not going to tempt you because I'm not going to show that I don't trust you. So listen, that means Ahaz trusts the word of the Most High. He just don't want to do it. Read verse. Can you take over again? Read verse. We're done with that distrust part in Wisdom of Solomon. We're good with that. I just want to show the parallel between tempt and distrusting.
Yeah.
And that's why I went to Wisdom of Solomon 1 and 2. Let me write that in there.
Forward also means not willing.
Disobedient.
Yield or
Yeah, and forward is just disobedient. Kind. So let's go to verse 13 in Isaiah. Isaiah 7, verse 13.
Isaiah 7, verse 13.
This is Ahab responding to Ahaz.
And he said,
No, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. This is Isaiah responding to Ahaz. Salakia. Read on.
Isaiah chapter 7, verse 13. And he said, Hear ye now, O house of David. Is it a small thing for you to weary men?
He said, is it a small thing for you to weary and stress out man? Read on.
But will ye weary my power also?
You gonna worry the Most High too, bro? Because Ahaz's responses were so off the wall. Like, then why are you sitting back here and not allowing the Most High to show you he's real and he's reaching out to you and you're not even receiving it? You worrying now. You're pissing the Most High off now. You're spitting in his face. Can you imagine the Most High having a prophet come to you and say, man, the Most High is with you? What can the Most High do to show you he's there for you?
That's crazy.
And you say, no, I'm good. I believe you. You ain't got to do it, Father. I got you. I believe it. I believe it. I know you're real. And then the Most like, why the hell are you acting this way then? If you know I'm real. Now you're wearying the Most High. You're pissing him off. There's a lot in this chapter. Read on, man.
Verse 14. Therefore the Lord himself.
Now listen, read on.
Therefore the Lord himself shall give you a sign.
He said, listen, man. You don't want me to show you a sign. The Most High going to show you a sign any damn way.
It's gonna be the way. It's gonna be his way.
I'm going to show you a sign any damn way. I'm going to give you a future prophecy about what's going to happen. Read on.
Behold, a virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel.
This is Christ.
Yeah.
This is the prophecy of Christ is coming. But why is he even talking about this? Because, man, despite Ahaz's wickedness, I'm going to sit back here through David's lineage and still bring about a son who is going to sit back here and be a redeemer of the nation. This is why it was so important. This is why it was so important that David's lineage is not wiped out. This is why Ahaz couldn't die. This is why the Most High was reassuring Ahaz from the jump that your lineage had to stay alive. And why is this important also? For all these bozos who want to talk about verse 14 and the virgin part.
Means young maid.
That's the point. But my point is this: they'll sit back here and look at this and say, "See, it's a virgin." But why is he talking this entire chapter about the fact that you cannot lose David's lineage? David's lineage cannot be wiped out, and the northern kingdom and Syria are trying to put a puppet government in here and wipe out David's lineage. So this is the prophecy I'm going to tell you, Ahaz. Even though you don't want a sign, I'm going to give you a sign and say Christ is going to come through this lineage, through your lineage. Yes.
It wouldn't matter if she was a virgin.
Exactly.
It wouldn't matter. All this word wouldn't matter if Mary was a virgin when she conceived Christ.
Exactly. All this fight and hubbub wouldn't even matter if she of an angel just came into her. That didn't make sense. The fight was to make sure the lineage of David didn't disperse, despite the wickedness of the Judites and the Israelites. Does that make sense? This is another class you can tack on or angle you can tack on to the Immaculate Conception class. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Let's continue.
Verse 15. Butter.
Take notes, y'all. That was a good one.
Okay.
Read up.
Verse 15. Butter and honey shall he eat.
You know what that means? He was going to be eating food. He was a terrestrial being. He was some angel. Right?
A ball of light that was just floating around.
He wasn't just some orb, some spirit.
Yeah.
He was a real fleshly person that ate butter and honey. Read on.
Butter and honey shall he eat, that he may know to refuse the evil and choose the good.
This is what Christ's life was about.
Right.
He was the person that came on earth to refuse evil and choose the good, because Israel, until this time, they had nobody that was perfect. So the prophecy about Christ was about Christ refusing evil and choosing the good. That was the prophecy that the Most High was communicating through Isaiah to let this guy Ahaz know. Read on.
Verse 16. For before the child shall know to refuse the evil and choose the good, the land that thou abhorrest shall be forsaken of both her kings.
He said, before this child is even born, before he chooses to refuse evil and choose the good, he says, the land that thou abhorrest, Ahaz abhorred the land by the wickedness he committed. Ahaz abhorred the land by the wicked deeds he was doing. He was defiling the land by his sin.
Yeah.
He said that, and choose the good, the land that thou abhorrest shall be forsaken of both her kings. The northern king had already forsaken the land, Pekah, and eventually, by the time we get to the last kings of the southern kingdom, what? They forsook the land with their wickedness.
Mm-hmm.
So what is he saying? That Israel was going to fall and be inhabited by other nations before Christ comes back. That's the prophecy. Before he sits back here and chooses good and rejects and refuses evil, the nation's going to have to completely fall.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time Christ was in power, Christ was living, Rome was in power. And we were just a vassal state to Rome. But both sides, the north and the south, had completely fallen. This is the prophecy.
Right. Yeah.
We get it, right? Are we all on path here?
Okay.
Okay, continue. Verse 17 from the top if you can.
Okay. Isaiah chapter 7, verse 17. Well, 16. I'm sorry.
Yeah, 16 is fine. Yeah, you're right. Salaki, you're right.
17.
16 is fine.
Okay,
You're right.
okay.
You're right.
16. For before the child shall know to refuse the evil and choose the good, the land that thou abhorrest shall be forsaken of both her kings.
God.
The Most High shall bring upon thee and upon thy people and upon thy father's house days that have not come, from the day that Ephraim departed from Judah, even the king of Assyria.
He says there's going to come a time. It's going to be days that are way worse. That's coming. That was before even the time when Ephraim broke up with Judah, even the king of Assyria. He's just saying the times coming down the way are going to get even worse than where they are now. Okay, read on.
And it shall come to pass in that day that the Most High shall hiss for the fly that is in the uttermost part of the rivers of Egypt, and for the bee that is in the land of Assyria.
So he's going to sit back here and turn his back on all of the Middle East region. And is that not what happened? Egypt fell, Assyria fell, and who took over? The Greeks.
Okay.
Listen, another nation out of the Most High's periphery, his immediate periphery is talking about from damn Egypt to Assyria. That is landmass space. That's the Middle East.
Totally.
That's the Seleucid Empire, to be specific. All that got conquered by foreign invaders and nations down the way that leads us to the time of Christ. Okay?
Wow.
Read on.
Verse 19. And they shall come and shall rest all of them in the desolate valleys and in the holes of the
Matter
rocks.
of fact, I am so sorry. I jumped. No, I didn't jump. I need to pull something in the midst of this, but I'm sitting back here flowing and going into this other stuff. Can you go to Isaiah chapter 9? I'm going in heavy prophecy town over here. I go to Isaiah 9. Isaiah 9 verse 21.
Okay. Isaiah chapter 9 verse 21.
Because it kind of stays more on topic. Because we're going into future stuff and we don't need to go there right now. Isaiah 9 and 21.
Okay. Isaiah chapter 9 verse 21. Manasseh, Ephraim, and Ephraim, Manasseh, and they together shall be against Judah.
It's telling you, he's telling you this is where the beef is and why the Most High is stinging Ephraim and Manasseh.
Right.
Read on.
For all this his anger is not turned away.
He said, for all this wickedness and these conspiracies that you're sitting back and setting up with the king of Syria, and you're trying to sit back and oust the Judite kings, David's lineage, and put this dude Tabiel or Tobias or whatever, Tabiel, you want to put Tabiel in there and take out the Davidic lineage? He says, you know what? For all this, his anger is not turned away. Read on.
But his hand is stretched out still.
He's coming to get you for this reason. This is why he's eradicating us and sent us all the way to Assyria, and eventually we spread out to the northern parts of the world.
So what it shows us, we got so wicked, the Most High forced, we forced the Most High.
We forced the Most High. That's the point.
Oh, the Most High betrayed his nation, and he didn't care, and he let him lose wars. No.
And it was a constant escalation of sin.
Yeah, listen.
You had the calf, you called the Most High. The calf worship was under the guys who were serving the Most High. Then they went to all-out idolatry with Ahab.
Yep.
Then it just kept going, perpetually more wicked after that time. Then they got to the point of eradicating David's lineage. The sin kept getting more extreme to where the Most High like, man, I have no choice but to get these guys. It's almost like this. It's almost like you got that kid that's so bad he's affecting your other kids. Sometimes you got to make a choice. Man, I gotta move this kid away to preserve the kids that are sitting back here trying to change. Because this kid's going to stunt and destroy the growth of everybody else in his house. So I got to move this root away to preserve the people that I'm trying to work on. This is his stance and why he allowed the northern kingdom to go kick rocks in Assyria somewhere. Does that make sense? Can we understand the Most High's thinking? And it wasn't some drastic moves or some emotional decisions. He had to make these moves for the preservation of the southern kingdom.
It makes perfect sense if you actually really understand it.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect sense. Listen, I said you're going to lose it all because the guy was taking out David's lineage. He had big plans to roll through David.
Yeah.
He was showing prophecies.
Yeah.
Christ came to come back. Let it be up to these northern kingdom kings.
Yeah, bro.
Christ came and come and save us out.
Yeah.
Now we can't even get saved out.
I know that. We can't get saved because Pekah. These 9.5 boys that are tripping out.
Yeah,
this is the point. Okay. Now, let's go to Isaiah chapter 8. I hope people are listening, man. This is good stuff, man. This is good stuff, bro. Isaiah chapter 8, verse 1 through 6.
Ball got dropped a couple times, though. Right? Talking about that one. There's one king that allowed Edom to rebuild.
Yeah.
And they've been on their ass ever since.
That bullshit. There's a lot of guys doing dumb shit. It's crazy. Let's keep going. Let's start with Saul. He preserved them.
And he preserved Amalek.
Yeah.
They run it now. They run it. Amalek runs it now.
Yeah. So let's read Isaiah chapter 8, verse 1 through 6.
Those kings' failures have created this whole model.
I know.
Most High said this.
Listen, Camp Hedge failures is why we're sitting back here behind like 15 years. How about that one?
It's savage.
You can't just blame it on Saul, right?
Yeah, it's not all Saul.
It's not all Saul. It's not all those guys' fault, right? Golly, let's keep reading that.
Yeah. Isaiah
That's
chapter,
crazy, bro.
I'm sorry, you good.
Isaiah chapter 8, verse 1. Moreover, the Lord said unto me, take thee a great roll, and write in it with a man's pen concerning...
A man's pen? I didn't know there was a man's pen. He said a man's pen versus a lady pen. Is there a lady pen? What does that even mean?
No lady pen.
But read on.
Moreover, the Lord said unto me, take thee a great roll and write in it with a man's pen concerning Maher Sha'al Hashba'az.
God, that was a great pronunciation of that word.
Man, that's some of the
That
best
was top notch.
Bible reading.
That was top notch communication right there. I must tip my cap there. I like that guy sounding from Arabia somewhere. Huh?
That's hilarious.
No, that's truth. That was
James Earl
powerful.
Jones didn't get that one. He didn't
No
get
way, no way. That was perfect. That was 10 out of 10. But let's keep going. That really was good.
Read it, do it again. I gotta hear it.
Come on.
I gotta hear it again.
It's not gonna come off.
It's like that sample.
You're putting pressure on him. It's too much pressure, huh? That was a lot of enunciation, huh? Take it slow, man. You got it, brother.
Take it slow.
Isaiah chapter 8, verse 1.
There you go.
Moreover, the Lord said unto me, take thee a great roll, and write in it with a man's pen, concerning Maher Sha'al Hashba'az.
It wasn't as good as the first one.
Yeah.
You put too much pressure on him. It was him.
He was in the spirit. Salakia.
No, but it still was
See, now
good,
it's not
man.
paying glory.
No, it was just the sound of it, man. I'm telling you, the
I
first one
believe
was
it. I
really
believe
good.
it.
I was
I
like,
believe
wow.
It's recorded.
It's cool, man. The people understand that. Everybody listen, but we're good. Let's keep on verse 2.
Okay. Verse 2. And I took unto me faithful witnesses to record Uriah the priest and Zechariah the son of Jeberechiah.
Mm-hmm.
And I went unto the prophetess, and she conceived and bare a son. Then said the Lord to me, call his name Maher Sha'al Hashbaz.
Come.
For before the child shall have knowledge to cry, my father and my mother, the riches of Damascus and the spoil of Samaria shall be taken away before the king of Assyria.
So listen, now we understand why the Most High had to sit back here and take away Samaria, and the Most High also took away Damascus, because of their treachery in trying to wipe out the southern kingdom of Judah. This is right after chapter 7, where the Most High was pissed off at these two to conspire against the southern kingdom.
And it pronounces it really.
And it was really against conspiring against Christ, and the birth of Christ. Is because of it, I'm taking Damascus, which represents Syria, and I'm taking Samaria, that represents the northern kingdom, and they're going to be spoiled and sent to Assyria. So this is the prophecy of it happening before it happens in 2 Kings chapter 17. Okay, but keep going. I'm sorry, you had something to say now? Yeah.
No, that's cool.
I just wanted to clean it up before you went into all the
It's all good. It's all good. Excuse me.
Well, let's keep going.
Okay, verse 5. The Most High spake also unto me again, saying, for as much as this people refuseth the waters of Shiloah.
Listen, he says, our people refuse the waters of Shiloah. That's in Ephraim, meaning Shiloah is in the land of Israel.
Okay.
So he says, our people refuse to lock into our traditions. Our people refuse. Matter of fact, why was Shiloh so important back in the day? Does anybody remember? Besides you.
Yeah.
Now, okay, you got it. And nobody has the answer. Why was Shiloh important?
Well, it was a central place that was established for the
By who?
by the Most High.
Yeah, but during what time?
That was the
It's Joshua.
the inception of
Joshua.
coming into out of the land of the wilderness.
And he established Shiloh was the place where the tabernacle was.
Right.
Remember? That was the place where the original tabernacle was until Jerusalem got there set up.
Mm-hmm.
So once again, the Most High is talking about the 9.5 tribes. And he says, this people refuse the waters of Shiloh. They refuse their beginnings. They refuse their connection to the Most High. The 9.5 tribes chose to disconnect themselves from the Most High and what was originally laid in the land of Ephraim. That was where the holy place was, and the Holy of Holies was initially, and they refused their origins.
They're rejecting the temple.
For their
Come.
vain pursuits and their following of the nation's ideologies.
That's what we do. We reject the wisdom that comes from the temple, and then what happens is it causes us to get further and further pushed out into the practices of the Gentiles.
And this is what was so crazy. He's like, listen, he didn't even go on to Jerusalem because, hey, before we had Jerusalem, we had Shiloh. He said, you refuse He refused the original place where the tabernacle was, going a horn to these other gods. Read on.
Verse 7.
Oh, excuse me. Read verse 6 again from the top.
Verse 6. For as much as this people refuseth the waters of Shiloah that go softly, and rejoice in Rezin and Remaliah's son.
He says, you rejoice in aligning yourself with wicked nations, the Syrians, and you cut yourself off from your power source, which was in Israel. Read on. No, you know what? That was all. That was all I wanted, because this is why the Most High turned his back on us and allowed the Assyrians to take us to the land of Assyria. Because we valued the other nations and their pursuits more than valuing our resources and our power source. Okay? Let that verse go. We're going to jump to Isaiah chapter 9, verse 1. And then go to 8 through 21. Okay. Isaiah 9 and 1. There's a lot of, so there's a lot of meat in these early Isaiah verses and chapters too, because it kind of deals with all these kingdoms and all the ups and downs that happen with them. So Isaiah 9 and 1, then we're going to go 8 through 21.
Okay. Isaiah chapter 9, verse 1. Nevertheless, the dimness shall not be such as was in her vexation, when at the first he lightly afflicted the land of Zebulun and the land of Naphtali, and afterward did more grievously afflict her by the way of the sea.
But he was showing Most High gradually vexes and intensifies his correction.
Yes.
But it's gradual in the beginning.
Yep. And this is still talking about what? This is talking about how he looked at breaking down the northern part of Naphtali and Dan and Aijah. Remember we went about that 2 weeks ago? How the northern part of Samaria got wiped out? He said it was light vexation, or he lightly afflicted Zebulun and Naphtali. Read on. And afterward
did more grievously afflict her by the way of the sea, beyond Jordan and Galilee of the nations.
He said, listen, but I made it even harder on Gad, Reuben, and East Manasseh. The half tribe of Manasseh. He says, I hit the north light, but I really broke Galilee. I mean the people on the east. In Galilee, which is still in the west. And when I say west, west of Jordan. Okay. West of Jordan was Galilee. But east of Jordan, he says they got hit the hardest. He pretty much wiped out the population of Reuben and Gad and Manasseh and sent them to Assyria. And he said he lightly afflicted or vexed them light up north. So he took people from certain cities, but didn't completely wipe out Israel on the west of Jordan yet. This is what he's saying. Okay? Now we're going to go to verse 8.
Verse 8. The Lord sent a word into Jacob, and it hath lighted upon Israel. And all the people shall know, even Ephraim and the inhabitant of Samaria, that say in the pride and stoutness of heart, the bricks are fallen down, but we will build with hewn stones. The sycamores are cut down, but we will change them into cedars.
He's like, listen, you see what I did to Israel east of Jordan. You see what I've done to Naphtali and Galilee. And instead of changing and showing contrition, then we're just going to rebuild them again. You know, man, we're going to rebuild. It's all good. We got to sit back and change our politics up. We're going to unite with Rezin in Syria, and we'll weather through this storm. Read on.
Verse 11. Therefore the Most High shall set up the adversaries of Rezin against them.
That's what's crazy. He's like, you want to hang with Rezin? Then I'm going to rise up the adversaries of Rezin. Remember we read about with but Jeroboam II, right? And when Jeroboam II, they were increasing their land in Israel. Remember I explained that the reason they were able to increase was because Syria was getting weaker. But they weren't even having to really fight Syria. The reason they weren't able to fight Syria, they didn't have to fight Syria because Syria was fighting Assyria. So Assyria was breaking down Syria. And it gave Israel a temporary time of reprieve to expand. So now the Most High, like, now I'm hitting you, and you want to sit back and align yourself with Syria. So because you want to align yourself with Syria, I'm going to sit back and intensify Assyria's power, and their aim now is going to be focused on you. I allowed Assyria to focus on Assyria to give you a break. Now I'm going to sit back here and let Assyria focus squarely on you and break you because of your pride. Once again, when the Most High starts to break you down, that's supposed to be so you can wake up, listen, show contrition, get yourself together, and realign yourself back with the Most High. He's like, after you lost half of the nation, you have nothing happen. This is what he said. You lost Gad, Reuben, and Manasseh, half of them, and you lost Naphtali and Galilee, and you just gonna shrug it off? Like everything's gonna be okay?
It's not.
That's the point. He's like, you had that none happen, but it did happen, and he's coming for the rest of you now. Read on.
It's that failure to acknowledge.
Con, like all of us do. We just double down on our sin. We double down on our wickedness. Think we can think it out. We can think it through. Read on.
Verse 11. Therefore the Lord shall set up the adversaries of Rezin against him, and join his enemies together, the Syrians before, and the Philistines behind, and they shall devour Israel with open mouth.
He said, even the Syrians that you're cool with are going to turn on you, and the Philistines that are behind you are going to squeeze in on you. On top of Assyria coming to hit with the final blow. Read on.
For all this, his anger is not turned away, but his hand is stretched out still.
That means, you know, the hand is stretched out. I'm ready to sit back here and give you more. Read on.
Verse 13. For the people turneth not unto him that smiteth them.
And that's the point. This is what the Most High is trying to get us to see. We're supposed to turn to the Most High who smited us. Come back and get right. That's the lesson when we're all falling. Go back to the smiter. Go back to the person who's stinging you. Read on.
For the people turneth not unto him that smiteth them, neither do they seek the Most High of hosts. Therefore, the Most High will cut off from Israel head and tail, branch and rush in one day.
One day I'm wiping you all off of my face of the earth, my periphery. I'm going to send you out to the other nations. I'm going to cut you off from being Ephraim one day because you just don't figure it out. You just refuse to listen. You refuse to change. Read on. He said from head to tail. He said, I broke off branches of you, but I'm going to take the whole damn thing now.
The whole thing's done.
I'm getting rid of the whole thing. Because when I took parts of you, that didn't shake you.
And he was given an opportunity and time period for change.
That's the point.
He was giving a grace period. It was a grace period. Instruction.
Good.
So that shows the concept of grace, even where? The Old Testament. Paul didn't invent grace.
He just had an understanding. Now, as he's reading these scriptures, he understands how the Most High operates. And now can verbalize the Most High's processes based off the examples you read in the scriptures. The Most High progressively takes and breaks you down.
And what did Paul have to do? You're dealing with Scythians, barbarians, you're dealing with different people, Israelites in different nations. You gotta give them the core concepts. I don't go all day to break down the story of Rezin and the Northern Kingdom. You don't have all day for that.
You can't break down Rezin to some barbarians.
Listen, you got barbarian here. This barbarian is drinking blood out. And you're gonna sit here. Let me break down
the story of Rezin.
This is the prophet Isaiah in this day. He went there, and then the kingdom was collapsing, and the head and tail. Listen, you think the barbarian who's drinking blood out can?
More blood!
You think he gives a damn about the history, bro?
More snake!
Listen,
more possum!
Yeah, snake.
I want possum!
Listen, you want possum and snake, and you're here. He had
Me, my sister,
look,
now!
Okay, listen.
No!
There's grace. There's grace for you.
Me now! Me go!
You're sinning, and the sin. If you
we go now!
If you stop sinning, God won't destroy you. He didn't destroy you because He's giving you time.
Okay,
Time.
okay. No, me, sister.
Time.
Okay.
Don't drink blood. Don't sleep with your sister.
Listen, the reason I'm even saying sister is because that was what Paul was saying. Like, listen, don't have relations with your family members. Don't drink blood. Don't do that. You're okay.
Yeah.
That's when he had to keep it that simple with these Israelites in Corinth and Galatia and all these crazy places, huh?
But this how the Jews from Jerusalem, they went like this. Do you understand, Mr. Barbarian? If you want to be righteous, you must cut thy foreskin.
Yeah.
You must do that
Cut
first.
this. No! That's
his first day in
no!
class. His first day in class is, hey.
We don't like that!
Hey.
I don't know if I like Hoka.
Yeah. All right, he's a barbarian though. Right?
That was the whole point.
Listen,
that was what I'm thinking about
it's
with
their
the barbarian
first day in
guy.
class, and you're like, listen, you're not holy. Your family left a long time ago. You got to cut your foreskin, and then on top of that, you got 600 laws.
Torah angles, huh?
Yeah, and also remember in Israel that the kingdom collapsed because of this kingdom, and it was the Assyrians and the Syrians. Y'all were joining them.
Too much information.
You were joining them, and like, please listen.
Yeah.
Come on, bro. Paul say, I gotta shorten this up. I'm shortening it up. Hey, grace.
I'm gonna give you understand how the Most High thinks.
Come.
Let me show you how the Most High thinks based on countless hours of studying.
Yeah.
And reading about resin and reading about how to do this. Don't forget how the Most High. It's almost like the most wickedest guys, the Most High gives the most times and examples to show he's real. Remember Ahab? How many times the Most High was trying to teach Ahab before he let him just fall? He's doing the same thing with Ahaz.
Yeah.
These wicked ones that really don't get it, he wants to take it slower for them to get it. What was you going to say? You had a question or statement?
Yeah, so my understanding on that was Paul was giving them the superficial. He was giving them, the basic information. But it stated in Acts that as they were going to listen to Moses and the law on the Sabbath day, that they would gradually pick up more and eventually get circumcised.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was my understanding.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's
Up
a
front,
start.
no, but in the beginning.
Of course. That's the point is, I got to give you a start.
Right.
And then we gradually evolve later on. That's like us. Listen, it was a battle. Listen, I'll never forget. Fridays were always pizza day for me when in my Jake household. It was pepperoni day. And I will never forget when I first started getting class. I was sitting there, I said, man, I can never eat pepperoni again. And I was like, but the pizza's here. And I said, today will be the last day I eat pepperoni. And that was it. And I didn't eat pepperoni after that. What's my point? But that was the battle. Way back in 15-year-old war days, listen, pepperoni was delicious for that time. Then I had to sit back and decide, no more of this. But I had to get my mind of that. And then once I got past that, guess what? There was more things to get rid of. So that was why Paul was explaining to barbarians, hey man, just don't drink blood. Don't deal with family members. Let's sit back here and not kill and do these crazy sacrifices to Diana and all these other gods. Let's do that and embrace who you are to the Most High. Then after a couple weeks, couple months, we start adding more understanding to the table.
That's realistic, bro. But these Jews,
You sit back here and you got 635 damn laws to follow. Oh, you have no chance of making it. They're out of here, huh? Who's listening to that, huh? No!
I don't like to serve.
More food, more fun!
Yeah.
Hope no like this! That's what's gonna happen. I'm sorry. You had something to say?
No, it's just you could tell that the Jews in Jerusalem were extremely out of touch, and if it didn't affect them, they were teaching for themselves.
Yeah.
They were teaching to really make themselves feel good, versus teaching for the needs of the student. Paul had the mind as a teacher to teach for the need and level and degree of the student. The student needs to understand. We can't even get to these laws until you start drinking blood.
But half the time you can listen. That reality that Paul came to grips with happened because obviously he was knocked down on that horse in Damascus. Yeah. He got retaught, and he made his life teaching people outside of Jerusalem. You really got to sit back here and put your teaching cap on when you go into new cities that don't know the Most High. It's easy to argue with Hebrews already, super brews. Yeah. Just argue with brews all them day long. That's easy. When you got to sit back here and teach somebody that's been drinking syrup and sit back and listen to screw all them their whole life, and I got to show that cat the Bible, we'll see where that priest comes out then. Because you can't, like 80% of your knowledge gets thrown out the door. I don't know if you ever taught somebody. I remember one day I was teaching this brother Akin, and I was going into the scriptures, and I didn't feel like I was hitting him. I was talking about Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I said, do you know what Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob is? No. I was like, wow. Okay. That changes everything. If you don't know who Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob is, then what are we doing now? That just cuts your legs off completely. Now I have to create a whole different approach to teaching now. If you don't know who Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob is, that means you don't know about Israelites. You don't know anything about the Bible. So you better slow this thing down and start now. All of a sudden, let me stop teaching and let me start talking to you. Let me kind of get a feel where you're at. Let me explain the Most High. Just let me explain the Most High power. Let me explain what He is means. It breaks you. Person that know nothing about nothing. All this guy knows is the streets. Every time I had to counsel and talk about the Most High and correlate it with like dope niggas out. Why? Listen, you got to understand about brotherhood. Remember in Scarface when he sat back and killed Manolo? Yeah. What was the problem? He put his emotions above his brotherhood.
Yeah.
That might sound funny and stupid, but you got guys in the streets that are like, I understand that. I understand Manolo and Scarface. I get it. Tony Montana.
What's a Bible story for him?
Yes. Or Montana not being in order with the damn Colombian damn crime boss out.
So
And that was
Sosa.
Khan. And that was the end of his downfall. That was the beginning of the end. Anyway, I'm just trying to explain how when you're put in cities and scenarios where people don't know anything, then you'll realize and understand why Paul kept it very simple very early. And how his topics couldn't be in depth. If we sit back here, when do we go to new cities and we have a whole new crew of people that don't know nothing about the Bible? You know what? We're going to change our approach. We're going to slow play this. This is going to be story time, basic story time. Because the majority of people don't understand anything. So that goes to what you were saying about why Paul had to take the time he took and how he kept it basic and just kind of gave cliff note additions to what the Bible was about. You know, it's a Bible for dummies.
Let me
He
give
sat
you
back
the
here and
summary.
just kind of explained and encompassed what faith is, and encompassed what mercy and patience is, and what servitude of the Most High was.
Oh.
Instead of just dropping all these laws and laws and laws, let me teach you how to love your brother. Brotherhood, love, mercy. Let's keep this Sabbath. Let's not drink this blood. Let's not do these idols. What's that?
And there was also like a prejudice and a shame with teaching these parts of Israel lost their way too, right? That's why.
Well,
Peter,
it was a
Paul
shame
had
from the people in Jerusalem because
right.
they looked down on those people.
Right, Peter. That's why Peter was essentially looked at as almost like two-faced in one instance.
But just think about this: if you're a carnal guy and you're a selfish guy, and you read a verse about how the Most High has turned his back on Ephraim, or he's made Ephraim not a nation anymore, what is a carnal person going to say?
That's what I'm talking to.
Why even deal with them? The Most High turned his back on them. Why do I got to deal with them? They're cursed. Most High's working with us.
This is a waste of my time.
That's the point. But you don't realize that those people were sick and still needed to be saved. And that the Most High was just eradicating them because of what he was trying to preserve to keep Christ to this time. That was why he did it. He didn't permanently do it. He just did it to buy Israel time, to buy the nation time. Right? But once again, you got guys that are still surface level thinking that have the Torah all around them. You can even see it now. You see different Israelites in different camps. They have a very low level way of looking at brotherhood. That was the brother that told me yesterday. Now, yeah, that your brother saw a brother street teaching and said shalom. And he's like, well, how come you're not with our camp? Are you man pleasing? You man pleasing, ain't you? Like, damn, I'm man pleasing because I'm not in your camp with you fanatical bozos. Let me stop. They're doing their best. He said, bless their heart.
Yeah.
My point is, they're doing their thing, cool. But you talking, oh, you serve a man because you ain't with us? So now you're set tripping that we blessing Cripside? We blessing Crips in the street now. Huh? Why can't I just sit back and say, Shalom, good job. You know, I'm just listening to y'all. Cool.
Some of
Why are they be, oh, you ain't with us? Oh, you ain't with us. You follow with men. I want you to follow my guy. I want you to follow the man I follow.
Don't follow your guy, follow my guy.
Yeah, that's exactly. That's what it's like. I want you to follow my guy. Because I don't like the fact that you're following other guys. That's wicked to follow a man. But you can follow the man that I'm with. That's okay.
That's stupid.
That's
That's stupid thinking. And even in the Bible, it's stupid thinking because some are Paul, some are Apollos. Some follow Christ, some follow John the Baptist. What are you doing, bro?
Well, my thing is, if you're going to do it, cool. But you're going to sit back here and talk crap about people that ain't doing it? Listen, this is why if you with Cephas, be with Cephas.
Yeah.
If you with John the Baptist, be with John the Baptist. Why are we mingling and set tripping? Can I just sit back and see you over there and say, you're an Israelite, it's good to see you. Shalom. Oh, okay, shalom. Time. Cool. If that's what you want me to say, cool. Blessed. You be good. And I get the hell out. Can I just do that? Anyway. It's not an opinion, that's just being honest. Just do your thing over there. Anyway, we have gotten a little bit far away from the class.
Israel gets intimidated by the presence of other Israelites.
You know why? Because it attacks their faith. Because in the back of there, maybe I'm not on the right side. That's a real thing. Maybe I'm with the off crew. Well, why don't you just sit back and be settled in what you do for the Most High?
Just be content where you're at, bro.
And just try to be the best you can in your arena. Anyway. Okay. Where are we finishing in Isaiah 9, sir?
We're at 14.
Let's continue.
Isaiah chapter 9, verse 14. Therefore the Most High will cut off from Israel head and tail, branch and rush in one day. The ancient and honorable, he is the head, and the prophet that teacheth lies, he is the tail.
He says the ancient, the one that's respected, and the people. You know what he's saying? The ancient and honorable is gonna fall, and the low level dude, the low level prophet that teaches lies, he's gonna fall. Everybody's falling from the northern kingdom. People that were trying to do right, the good guys and the dirtbags, he's cleaning the entire slate. That's what he's showing. What he's showing is the good and the wicked had to go into slavery together. How about that one? There's another verse that proves that. And then it is just the good and the wicked, the honorable and the righteous. When it's time for the nation to fall, everybody's falling.
Yeah, because we're all accountable for each other.
Okay. Let's keep going.
Verse 16. For the leaders of this people cause them to err, and they that are led of them are destroyed.
Good on.
Therefore the Lord shall have no joy in their young men, neither shall have mercy on their fatherless and widows. For everyone is an hypocrite and an evildoer, and every mouth speaketh folly. For all this his anger is not turned away, but his hand is stretched out still.
You know what he's saying? That listen, even though we know that the leader was the one who tried to initiate this coup and this removal of David's lineage, and more like, man, because of that move from that head, that is the final straw. Now I must sting everybody for their wickedness, from the highest to the lowest, because we all as a nation have to fall together. And this is a part of why so many men from other camps, they always get mad and they get bitter if there is a head that falls, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of times men leave the truth because of a bad experience with a camp head. But the crazy thing is, through history, we all have to fall with the ship. How about that? Hey, I would leave. I ain't about with men. Well, you ain't with the Bible, B. Because how about everybody has to fall with the ship, and nobody can exclude themselves or remove themselves from this thing? You don't think when they was getting in chains, and they was in chain gangs walking up to Assyria, it ain't like they had ships and horses, huh? It wasn't on that side. They was walking from Samaria all the way to Assyria. You don't think they was mad at Pekah and Hosea? You don't think they was mad at the head? You know what? I had a part of it. Are you an Israelite? Yeah, but I'm not a part of Hosea. No, you coming with us. We're going to put these braces on you too.
I'm a part of that
We're going to put these braces on your legs and your feet because you're associated with this guy.
Yeah.
How about that? We hate that concept. But this is part of what serving the Most High is about.
Yeah.
Just saying. Read on.
Verse 17. Excuse me. Verse 18. For wickedness burneth as the fire. It shall devour the briars and thorns, and shall kindle in the thickets of the forest. And they shall mount up like the lifting up of smoke. Through the wrath of the Most High of hosts is the land darkened, and the people shall be as the fuel of the fire.
Damn, bro.
People going to be destroyed.
The people have to be destroyed based on the nation's choices. We all fall and go down with the ship.
Whether you want to be a Nubian, or you want to be Egyptian, or you want to be a Democrat.
But that also goes back to the USA too, the US of A.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to go down with the ship, bro. When this place falls apart, everybody's going to fall apart. When it's time for Israel to reign, we're going to all reign together. That is the point. On a nationalistic level, we rise as a nation, we fall as a nation.
I don't believe the Bible though. Okay.
Us too. When these people get it, I mean not us though.
I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this. Listen, I'm gonna say, what was that verse? It talked about gosh, I had it. I had a verse earlier, and I wasn't sure if I want to pull it. Let me see. Okay, read verse. Okay, Isaiah 8 and 9.
Isaiah chapter 8, verse 9.
So I'm gonna say the answer to your question. I'm gonna pull a verse, and you're saying is if the US of A falls, is everybody that's in this country gonna fall with it, right?
Well, I mean us. Like
I'm saying Israelites.
Yeah.
The bruise. We're gonna see.
Isaiah chapter 8, verse 9. Associate yourselves.
If you're associated with them, yes. Are you associated with this kingdom? Are you aligned with this kingdom? He says, read it. Read verse 9. Associate yourselves.
Associate yourselves, O ye people, and ye shall be broken in pieces.
There you go. If you're aligned with this place, you're going to be broken in pieces with this place. That's what the Moses says, come out of her, my people. So you be not partaker of her plagues.
Right.
So if you're associated and aligned with this place, you're going down with the ship. If you're not, you'll escape it. Read on.
O ye people, and ye shall be broken in pieces, and give ear, all ye of far countries. Gird yourselves, and ye shall be broken in pieces. Gird yourselves, and ye shall be broken in pieces.
He's saying, I'm breaking you. If you align yourself away from the Most High, you're breaking. He's breaking you in small pieces. He's going to disassemble you. You better be on the right side, on the right team, when Christ comes back. Okay? So let's continue in chapter 9.
Pretty strong scripture.
Yeah.
You want 19 again or 20?
20 is fine.
Isaiah chapter 9, verse 20. And he shall snatch on the right hand, and be hungry, and he shall eat on the left hand, and they shall not be satisfied.
It's not going to be enough resources. When the Most High is really putting his hammer down, it's never going to be enough. Taking advantage, robbing Peter, paying Paul, taking advantage of this person, you're still not going to have anything.
Oh my God.
It's going to be dog eat dog. We read about that earlier. It says, and no man shall spare his brother. With all that chaos and selfishness and fear and deprivation going on, it's not going to be enough.
Right.
That's the case for the Assyrian captivity, and that's going to be the case at the end. Read on.
And he shall snatch on the right hand, and be hungry, and he shall eat on the left hand, and they shall not be satisfied. They shall eat every man the flesh of his own arm. Manasseh, Ephraim, and Ephraim, Manasseh, and they together shall be against Judah. For all this his anger is not turned away, but his hand is stretched out still.
He says Most High is like this. My wrath is still not finished. This is after the Assyrians take us out. It's the truth, because after Assyria, where'd they go? They started migrating through Turkey, westward, to all the Danish countries, and Britain, and Spain, and they became the Gauls in Germany, the Gauls in France, I should say. That was all us. We were the Gauls that the Romans took out to initiate the Roman Empire and conquest in Europe. The Gauls were the first ones they took out. Those men and women that were living in France. That was us. By the time we did all of our conquesting and migrating westward. Anyway, then we went up northwestward because we were in two different. We'll go into that another day. Maybe when we start going to 2 Kings 17, we'll kind of go into the migration patterns and all that stuff. But we done with verse 21, right? Let us go now to 2 Kings chapter 16, verse 5 through 20. That's how we're going to be feeling when we getting put in captivity. I don't want to go there. But you're going to have to go there. How about that? 2 Kings 16, verse 5 through 20. Matter of fact, let's do Adam. Give you a little break. Okay. I know, killer. I know, killer.
Adam, Shal Shabbatah, Ban Yahawada, Ban Yasharala.
I'm sorry, listen. Adam, Shal Shabbatah, Ban Yahawada, Ban Yasharala. I bet you. Yahweh Hashem Yahweh
Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shabbrakatham.
Alright. So let's do 2 Kings 16 verse 5 through 20.
2 Kings 16, 5. Then Rezin, king of Syria, and Pekah, son of Ramallah, king of Israel, came up to Jerusalem to war, and they besieged Ahaz, but could not overcome him.
So they couldn't overcome it. The overcoming part was like we said in Isaiah 7 about the changing of the leadership, putting Tabiel in the seat of authority. That was the goal of King Rezin and King Pekah. Read on.
At that time, Rezin, king of Syria, recovered Elath to Syria.
No, that was a time in Jeroboam's time. They conquered Elath. Now they lost it again. The funny thing is that they lost it. But read on.
And drave the Jews from Elath.
Let me take that back. Elath was near Judah, not the northern kingdom. And we had conquered Elath with maybe Uzziah or Amaziah. Either way, let's keep going.
And the Syrians came to Elath and dwelt there until this day. So Ahaz sent messengers to Tiglath-Pileser, king of Assyria.
So listen, why am I stopping here? The Most High was trying to work with Ahaz. For what purpose? To let him know, I am going to be there for you. You don't have to sit back here and worry. Let me sit back here and work with you, and I can take care of you, and I will bless you, right? We read in Isaiah chapter 7 that Ahaz refused. He didn't really want to follow the Most High's way, but this was his response. Ahaz sits back here and writes a letter to Tiglath-Pileser of Assyria for help instead of getting help from the Heavenly Father.
And truly in vain is salvation from the hills. We're sitting here trusting in what we can tangibly see. Because a nation represents a tangible.
But the Most High was like, let me show you something tangible so you know that I'm real, so you can trust me. He says, what is it that you need? Imagine the height and the depth. I will show you something tangible.
I can't control it,
so you know that I'm here.
I can't control that.
He said, but I can write a letter to Tiglath.
I can control it.
He can sit back and protect me.
Because
I know the northern kingdom and Syria don't want smoke from Assyria.
Okay.
When you see the thinking, I don't want to serve the Most High at all. Let me write this letter to the Assyrian king to get assistance to back these guys off. Right? Read on.
So Ahaz sent messengers to Tiglath-Pileser, king of Assyria, saying, I am thy servant, thy son.
And thy son? Listen, he'll bow to a man,
He
but
won't
not
bow
the Most High.
That's real.
That's the point.
That's real, bro. We'll serve a man stronger than the Most High. We'll serve a boss. We'll serve a CEO. We'll serve a rap idol. We'll serve an athletic idol.
Yeah.
We'll serve man in an idolized form more than the Heavenly Father and righteousness and everything spiritual.
Now you know why Isaiah 7 was so important to go in first.
That's important, bro.
Before we go to this part,
Crazy.
it was so important to do that.
It's crazy, bro.
Done. So, read that part again. He's his son. I am your son.
I am thy servant and thy son. Come up and save me out of the hand of the king of Syria.
Not ask the Most High to save him.
No, he didn't want the Most High's help. The Most High offered his help.
Everybody uses the Most High as the last option.
Bro, this guy doubled down. He says, man, I'm okay. I don't want to tempt you. I'm going to call Tiglath right after I get to leave from this Isaiah. I'm getting the hell out of here. I am your son.
It's crazy.
It's crazy, right? Read on.
And out of the hand of the king of Israel, which rise up against me.
Mm-hmm.
And Ahaz took the silver and gold that was found in the house of the Most High.
Then he took the Most High's gold, all the gold in the temple out. He took all his bread, maxed it out, and sent it to Tiglath.
Damn.
Read on.
And in the treasures of the king's house, and sent it.
And his own personal bread. Read on.
And sent it for a present to the king of Assyria.
That's whack hip hop, bro. Let's keep going now.
And the king of Assyria hearkened unto him. For the king of Assyria went up against Damascus, and took it, and carried the people of it captive to Kir, and slew Rezin.
Okay, so listen. Tiglath said, okay, I'll come down here and take out the guys I was going to take out anyway. Tiglath was already going to take out Damascus. They were already enemies. So we took out Damascus and Rezin. Read on.
And King Ahaz went to Damascus to meet Tiglath-Pileser, king of Assyria, and saw an altar that was at Damascus. And King Ahaz sent to Uriah.
Yep.
And King Ahaz sent to Uriah the priest the fashion of the altar.
So let me sit back here. He's like, oh, dog, Damascus, this altar is the shit. Let me send you a map. And let me send you like blueprints of how it looks, Uriah, so you can make it for me in Israel. That's what he's doing. He's like, listen, he's going to fashion it, make the blueprints in Damascus, and send it to Uriah in Jerusalem so he can remake that altar for him in Jerusalem. Well, what's crazy is you're going to Damascus, the losing team that got their tails kicked in. You're going to the team that lost. You went to meet Tiglath to thank him from Assyria. Listen, I know these words and these cities are confusing. Once Tiglath took out Rezin in Damascus, which is Syria, Ahaz went to meet Tiglath in Syria, the vanquished city. And then he saw the temple of Damascus, the losing team, and fashioned, they got the altar, got the blueprints of the altar and sent it to Jerusalem. It was the same thing that Amaziah did when he conquered the Edomites and took the gods and idols of Edom and brought it back home.
Stupid.
He's doing the same thing. You're following the losing team's idol and altar and acting like you want something. And you're doing something great. This is what's happening. Read on.
And King Ahaz sent to Uriah the priest the fashion of the altar and the pattern of it, according to all the workmanship thereof. And Uriah the priest built an altar according to all that King Ahaz had said.
Why did Uriah build the altar? He's supposed to be the priest. Read on.
Had sent from Damascus. So Uriah the priest made it against King Ahaz came from Damascus.
Done.
And when the king was come from Damascus, the king saw the altar, and the king approached to the altar and offered thereon.
So when he came from Damascus, the altar was made. The altar was completed in Jerusalem. So when he sat back here, he started offering it on the altar, the newly made altar from the specks he sent from Damascus. Read on.
And he burnt his offering and his meat offering, and poured his drink offering, and sprinkled the blood of his peace offerings upon the altar. And he brought also the brazen altar, which was before the Most High, from the forefront of the house, from between the altar and the house of the Most High, and put it on the north side of the altar. And King Ahaz...
So hold on. So what he's saying is Ahab took this bogus altar and replaced it with the brazen altar. So he moved the brazen altar somewhere else on the temple grounds, on the north side of the temple. Because if I'm not mistaken, the brazen altar was supposed to face this way, which was east. West was where the Holy of Holies was. So north was on top, was the northernmost part of the temple. So they took the brazen altar, put it on the northernmost part of the temple, and put this bogus altar on the east side of the temple, where the original brazen altar was.
How big were these altars?
I don't know. I don't have it on top of my head, but he took the altar, whatever he got a bunch of men to take the altar, the original altar, put it up north, and it put this BS altar from Damascus where the brazen altar was. Bro, just to sit back here, the Most High is furious at this point. Let's continue.
And King Ahaz commanded Uriah the priest, saying, upon the great altar burn the morning burnt offering, and the evening meat offering, and the king's burnt sacrifice, and his meat offering, with the burnt offering of all the people of the land.
It's crazy, huh?
And their meat offering, and their drink offerings, and sprinkle upon it all the blood of the burnt offering, and all the blood of the sacrifice, and the brazen altar shall be for me to inquire by. Thus did Uriah the priest, according to all that King Ahaz commanded. And King Ahaz cut off the borders of the bases, and removed the laver from off them, and took down the sea from off the brazen oxen that were under it.
So he sat back and removed the brazen, the water, the brazen sea. It was the big brazen sea that was right next to the altar on the east side of the temple, and there was a bunch of portable seas that they were using. They moved all this stuff out the way. It just cleared out all of the holy instruments and items, and just to sit back here and focus this one damn Syrian temple scenario thing on there. Read verse 17 again.
And King Ahaz cut off the borders of the bases, and removed the laver from off them, and took down the sea from off the brazen oxen that were under it.
Because the brazen sea had around 12 oxen under it. It's 3, 3, 3, 3. So they took the brazen sea off of it, off the oxen. So the water was for the purification of the whole ceremony. So they eliminated all the water. Because in order to sit back and do the altars, I guess, and the sacrifices for the Syrian, you didn't need all that.
Yep.
This guy really defamed the Most High and everything the Most High was standing for. He doubled down after the Most High tried to show him that he was real. God, the only thing he didn't do was put swine flesh on it. But read on.
And put it upon a pavement of stones.
It's crazy. And all he did is he put the brazen sea on some rocks. Wow. Read on.
And the covert for the Sabbath that they had built in the house, and the king's entry without, turned he from the house of the Most High for the king of Assyria. Now the rest of the acts of
He said the covert for the Sabbath. Look at the covert.
Spacing?
1 second. Covert. So it says a covert. It says an architectural term of uncertain meaning, possibly covered structure. It says if the usual derivation to cover. The phrase refers to a covered place or hall used either by the king or the priest to enter the temple, which King Ahaz removed in some sense from the house of the Lord because of Assyria. It was some covering where that was used to, I guess, before you entered into the temple. That's crazy. And I would imagine that's from the outer gate, not into the actual Holy of Holies. But when you're sitting back here and trying, I don't think I have a proper image of the temple. No, I don't. Well, I do. If you look online, on the screen, you'll see the temple. Now, this image of the temple, if I'm not mistaken, this is the one that was made during this is Solomon's one. You have your temple court and you have your outer court. You see the outer court, and then the temple court, and then you have the altar, which is on the east, like we explained, in the temple. I would imagine this covering is a covering that leads from the outer court into the temple. I would imagine that's what it is. And he sat back and made this outer court covering. He made the outer court covering and the covering over it for the Assyrian king whenever he wanted to come in. He just sold out pretty much. He sold out. He did everything he could to sit back and appease the Assyrian king Tiglath-Pileser. But let's get verse 19.
And 19. Now the rest of the acts of Ahaz which he did, are they not written in the book of Chronicles of the kings of Judah? And Ahaz slept with his fathers, and was buried with his fathers in the city of David. And Hezekiah his son reigned in his stead.
Ahaz was garbage. He had 16 years of this foolishness. We need to read Chronicle and see what happened and how he was buried, but that's what it says here. Let's go to 2 Chronicles 28. Because normally guys like that don't get buried with their fathers. They get buried in separate sepulchers because they didn't live up to the standard of the kings of Judah. Let's go to I did say 2 Chronicles. 2 Chronicles 28, verse 1 through 15. Let's read that.
2 Chronicles 28 and 1. Ahaz was 20 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 16 years in Jerusalem. But he did not that which was right in the sight of the Most High, like David his father. For he walked in the ways of the kings of Israel, and made also molten images for Balaam. Moreover, he burnt incense in the valley of the son of Hinnom, and burnt his children in the fire, after the abominations of the heathen whom the Most High had cast out before the children of Israel. He sacrificed also and burnt incense in the high places, and on the hills, and under every green tree. Wherefore the Most High his power delivered him into the hand of the king of Syria, and they smote him, and carried away a great multitude of them captives.
Now this is where it starts to, it wasn't, when it comes to explaining the Judite kings and what they went through, you don't get as much information in 1 Kings as you get in 1st, 2nd Kings as you get in 1st, 2nd Chronicles. Chronicles deals more with Judah and the southern kingdom, and Kings deals with a lot of the northern kingdom stuff. So, read verse 5 again.
Wherefore the Most High his power delivered him into the hand of the king of Syria.
So listen, now in other verses like in Isaiah and in Kings, it said that he was spared because he really was, but that didn't mean it wasn't collateral damage for his sin. So in the process of, they just didn't besiege Jerusalem, but there was a lot of outside ancillary cities that were getting affected. Just Jerusalem had the fortifications to handle a siege, but these other cities didn't. So read verse 5 again.
Wherefore the Most High his power delivered him into the hand of the king of Syria, and they smote him, and carried away a great multitude of them captives, and brought them to Damascus.
So listen, not only did they smite a lot of Judite people, he sent them to Damascus. And they said, listen, wherefore the Lord his power delivered him into the hand of the king of Syria, and they smote him, and they carried away a great multitude of them captives, and brought them to Damascus. Read on.
And he was also delivered into the hand of the king of Israel, and smote him with a great slaughter.
So listen, what they don't tell you in 2 Kings is that Pekah and Revin wiped him out and took a lot of people and sent them down to Syria. Read on. Now check this out. What did we read in 2 Kings earlier? 2 Kings chapter 16, when we finish it up. What did we read in 2 Kings 16 about Tiglath? What did Tiglath do when he went to Damascus? Y'all remember? What happened? 2 Kings chapter 16, right? It was 2 Kings 16, right?
Was it 15?
It was
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it was 16.
Oh,
16
okay.
and 1.
Okay.
Okay, or I'm gonna read it because I think we missed this. Remember Ahaz wrote the letter
Yeah.
to Tiglath,
Verse 7.
and then what did Tiglath do?
Verse 7.
No. Oh yeah, read it.
So Ahaz sent messengers to Tiglath-Pileser, king of Assyria, saying, I am thy servant and thy son. Come up and save me out of the hand of the king of Syria, and out of the hand of the king of Israel, which rise up against me.
So give me verse 10.
Verse 10. And King Ahaz went
No, read verse 9.
Verse
Slide.
9. And the king of Assyria hearkened unto him, for the king of Assyria went up against Damascus, and took it, and carried the people of it captive to Kir, and slew Rezin.
So what does that mean? We just read in 2 Chronicles 28 and verse 5 that Rezin and Pekah wiped out Judah and took thousands of people to Damascus. Thousands of Judites to Damascus. But then Tiglath took over Damascus and sent the people of Damascus to Assyria. What does that mean? That means Judah was part of that mass exodus also. It wasn't just the 9.5 tribes that got sent to Assyria. Judah, thousands of Judites got sent to Assyria as well. So when you sit back here, that means all these people that were up in Europe, it wasn't just 9.5s, it was Judites also. Did y'all get that? Now we got it. So Judah was sent out to Assyria now. After they lost, they got sent to Damascus by Rezin. Rezin got killed, and everybody got shipped up to Assyria because that's what they do. Okay. So now let's go back to 2 Chronicles chapter 28 and verse 6.
And 6. For Pekah, the son of Remaliah, slew in Judah 120,000 in one day.
So listen, the northern kingdom, Pekah, wasn't no joke. And they wiped out 120,000 Jews. But once again, Ahaz was negative. Ahaz was doing all kind of wickedness, so Judah took a major blow by the 9.5 tribes. You still want me to question? All that shit you had.
Oh no.
Keep going.
Which were all valiant men, because they had forsaken the Most High of their fathers.
So he's saying they were valiant men, but they were breaking the law. They were following their head Ahaz. So 120,000 men died by the northern kingdom's hand, and another bunch of massive people that were Jews got shipped up to where? Damascus. Read on.
And Zikri, a mighty man of Ephraim, slew Manasseh, the king's son. And Azrikam, the governor of the house, and Elkanah, that was next to the king.
So what's happening is a lot of the king's associates and the people that was close to him were getting wiped out. The Most High saved Ahaz for that lineage to be saved. But a lot of people around him and the close associates were getting wiped out by the 9.5 tribes. Read on.
And the children of Israel carried away captive of their brethren 200,000, women, sons, and daughters, and took also away much spoil from them, and brought the spoil to Samaria.
So listen, verse 8 is saying that along with the thousands that got sent to Damascus, 200,000 got sent to Samaria, which is in Israel. So the ones who the Syrians took out, they sent them to Syria. The ones who the 9.5 tribes took out, they sent them to Israel. Okay? Now we're going to go real quick, BKC 641, if I'm not mistaken. And it says, because of Ahaz's gross sins against the Most High, he fell into the hands of the Arameans, which is the Syrians, which is Aram. Syria is the children of Aram. So it says, whose king was Rezin, who took many Judeans as prisoners to Damascus. You can only imagine if 200 Jews went to Samaria, how many thousands of Jews got sent to Damascus. It had to be in the hundreds of thousands. Okay, so if 200,000 went to Samaria, hundreds of thousands, I would imagine, is an educated guess, went to Damascus. And eventually from Damascus got shipped out to Syria. And that was Judah. Okay. This was the third time the Arameans fought Judah. Ahaz also suffered defeat by the army of Israel under their king Pekah, who killed 200,000 Judean soldiers in one day. These included several casualties within Ahaz's own family and court. Also, Israel took 200,000 wives and sons and daughters of Judea off to Samaria. So that just confirms everything we just read. Hundreds of thousands of Jews got wiped out at this particular time because of Ahaz's wickedness.
Yeah.
And how his wickedness influenced the people. So once again, along with the wicked 9.5 tribes, it was also wicked Jews the Most High eradicated from his sight
That one to joy.
to preserve the southern kingdom of Judah. Does that make sense?
Come.
Most High was going to preserve his nation by any means, and all those wicked roots were getting shipped out. Okay, I need you to keep going. Read on. Now we're going back to 1 Chronicles 28 and verse 9.
In
Verse 9, yeah. You know?
But a prophet of the Most High was there, whose name was Oded. And he went out before the host that came to Samaria, and said unto them, Behold, because the Most High thy power of your fathers was wrought with Judah, he hath delivered them into your hands.
So yeah, okay. Judah got delivered into their hands because of our foolishness, right? He did with both his sons, both branches. Read on.
And ye have slain them in a rage that reacheth up unto heaven.
Read on.
And now ye propose to keep under the children of Judah in Jerusalem for bondmen and bondwomen unto you. But are there not with you, and even with you, sins against the Most High your power?
Because a lot of times we look at people, we want to punish others, but we still have the same sins also. It's dealing with that hypocrisy mindset. Read on.
Now hear me therefore, and deliver the captives again, which ye have taken captive of your brethren.
Of our brethren. That's right here. It's talking about deliver the captives of your brethren. That same point and theme was in the scriptures, was is also in the New Testament about releasing other people that they're captives to us, dealing with forgiveness. Even though there's strife and there's arguments and there's fighting, there's infighting, there's bad past history, dealing with the spirit of forgiveness. What do you think, Paul? I'm a harp on parallel Paul. I don't care about nothing else. I don't care about anything else for a long time. I'm gonna go Paul crazy.
Paul.
Because listen, he's saying, listen, I punished Judah because they sinned. Now they're your captive, but this is still your brother. Read that point again, and go up and then read down again. Because this we can catch back up.
Yeah.
10 again.
Yeah, 10 again.
And now ye propose to keep under the children of Judah in Jerusalem for bondmen and bondwomen unto you.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But are there not with you, even with you, sins against the Most High your power?
Showing once again that deals with us being hypocrites against our own people, us being persecutors against our own people. And as a national, we'll sell drugs to our own people, we'll kill our own people, we'll beat our own people, we won't march for our own people, we won't go to Washington and march for our own people. We'll march. If the white man kills us, we'll march. If we kill us, it's a good song. It's a music video. It's entertainment. Read on.
And hear me therefore, and deliver the captives again, which ye have taken captive of your brethren, for the fierce wrath of the Most High is upon you.
Read on.
Then certain heads of the children of Ephraim, Azariah the son of Jonan, Becher
Now hold that real quick. Let's go to that verse and I can hop forward. Leviticus 25 and 39.
Leviticus 25 and 39. And if thy brother that dwelleth by thee be waxen poor, and be sold unto thee, thou shalt not compel him to serve as a bondservant, but as an hired servant, and as a sojourner.
So even the law was like, we're not supposed to treat our people like straight war slaves.
Yeah.
It wasn't supposed to be that way. We weren't prison. We weren't booty. We weren't like prisoners of war. That wasn't how we were supposed to treat each other. And this is what the prophet was bringing to their attention. Listen, you want to bring more calamity in your life? Most High was already explaining in Isaiah 7 and 8 and 9 how the Most High is going to sit back and smash Samaria. Like, you really want to make this worse? You'd be wise to take heed to let these people go back to their land. We're going to read eventually that they let them go. But the Israelites, the Jews that got smashed and taken over by Syria, didn't get this same concession given to them. So the Jews that was taken over by Syria, they got sent to Damascus. And their life was over immediately. Most High had mercy on these Jews that got captured by the 9.5 tribes. So let that verse go on Leviticus. Was that
Verse 42.
I'm cool. I think we got it. I think we got the point. Let's continue in 2 Chronicles 28 and verse 10 again.
In verse 10. And now ye propose to keep under the children of Judah and Jerusalem for bondmen and bondwomen unto you. But are there not with you, even with you, sins against the Most High your power? Now hear me therefore, and deliver the captives again, which ye have taken captive of your brethren, for the fierce wrath of the Most High is upon you.
He's like, the Most High is about to smash you if you don't let these Jews go back home. Read on.
Then certain of the heads of the children of Ephraim, Azariah, the son of Johanan, Berechiah, the son of Meshalemoth, and Jehezekiah, Jehezekiah, the son of Shalom, and Amasa, the son of Hadalai, stood up against them that came from the war.
And he's like, listen, man, those guys that had all the gold and spoils of war, these men, which were obviously heads of state, rose up against them and said to stop. Read on.
I got to pull this one point.
Okay.
Real fast. Go to Luke 4 and verse 17 and 18.
Luke 4 and 17.
All right. So we went from Chronicles. What was it?
We're in 2 Chronicles 28,
All right, 28.
and it was verse 13. We're about to go into 13.
Okay, cool. I got my finger on it. Go ahead. So we read earlier, said, now hear me therefore, and deliver the captives again, which ye have taken captive of your brethren, for the fierce wrath of the Lord is upon you. Right? And it goes again, once again, going into verse 10. Now ye therefore propose to keep under the children of Judah and Jerusalem for bondmen and bondwomen unto you. But are there not with you, even with you, sins against your Lord power? Right? Once again, releasing the captives. Right? Read on.
Luke 4 and 17. And there was delivered unto him the book of the prophet Isaiah. And when he had opened the book, he found the place where it was written, the Spirit of the Most High is upon me, because he hath anointed me to preach the gospel to the poor. He hath sent me to heal the brokenhearted, to preach deliverance to the captives.
And to preach deliverance to who?
The captives.
The Most High didn't change. He was about delivering the captives in the New Testament. He was about delivering the captives in the Old Testament. So when Paul was teaching and the prophets were teaching, they were teaching the understanding of the Old Testament, because all they had was the Old Testament. All right? I'm just showing that one point. Read on. Keep reading.
And recovering of the sight to the blind, to set at liberty them that are bruised.
To set at liberty them that are bruised, and not to oppress the captives. The Most High is the same throughout the whole book. So if we know the Most High comes in the volume of the book, why are brothers and sisters, quote unquote, rejecting the New Testament? If we know it comes in the volume of the book, if the themes are the same, you can go scripture for scripture, and so the themes are the same in the New Testament as the Old Testament.
You know, the tone changes. The biblical tone of the scriptures really changes after 586 BC, in the fall of Jerusalem.
God.
Then the tone changes to recovery and repairing and healing. There was no need to focus on healing when we were on top. So it doesn't start at Christ. It starts 586 BC during the reconstruction period of time of Israel. And the Most High still had to get us to survive until we got to Christ, for that person to be that example of how we should be, so that when we go to the finality of our fall, we'll have something to hold on to until Christ comes back. So yeah, the comforting messages started happening towards our descent into these captivities. The good news didn't start happening in Matthew. The good news started happening after we fell.
Yeah. We needed good news. You don't have a kingdom no more.
That's the point.
You don't have a kingdom. You don't have a state. You don't have offices. You're under nations for the foreseeable future.
Yep.
So you need a comforting message to get you to stay focused on the Most High.
Okay.
Why come back to the Most High? I just serve more idols.
Okay.
We're already in captivity.
Okay.
What is the purpose of serving the Most High if I'm going to stay in captivity? I might as well keep serving idols. No, let's create a comforting message and get the same themes to get them back to the point where they can have their own kingdom again. And that's all I want to point. That's the
Okay.
point.
So listen, let's go back to 2 Chronicles 28 and verse 13 now.
13. And said unto them, Ye shall not bring in the captives hither, for whereas we have offended against the Most High already, ye intend to add more to our sins and to our trespass? For our trespass is great, and there is fierce wrath against Israel. So the armed men left the captives and the spoil before the princes and all the congregation. And the men which were expressed by name rose up and took the captives, and with the spoil clothed all that were naked among them, and arrayed them, and shod them, and gave them to eat and to drink, and anointed them, and carried all the feeble of them upon asses.
What's crazy is that when your fall is coming out, this is examples of the fallout. No clothes. Listen, you don't got time to fucking change your clothes, get an outfit out, when it's time for these armors to sit back and take you out after.
Right.
You can't just say, "Oh, can I get some clothes? I gotta put a robe on before I get out of here." They snatching you as is. It's a embarrassing, humiliating process. And this is what happened to us, not just here, but when the Assyrians came out and took us out, we were broken down to the lowest common denominator. It's sad, but at least at this particular point, the 9.5 had mercy on us enough to not really stick it to us. And the Most High put it in their spirit to have mercy on us. And to send us back to Jericho is what the scripture talks about. Read on.
And carried all the feeble of them upon asses, and brought them to Jericho, the city of palm trees, to their brethren.
And then Judah will come pick them up from there and take them back to their homesteads. Read on.
Then they returned to Samaria.
But it didn't say the same thing happened to those that were captured by the Syrian Empire. And that's how we know that Judah went up to Assyria in captivity, as well as the 9.5 tribes. Okay? So like a lot of things was happening at this particular time that we have to make sure we go as slow as possible to kind of keep track of. The next thing we're going to tap into is Josephus book 9 chapter 12. This is yours, Nagaha. Josephus book 9 chapter 12 paragraph 3. Book 9 chapter 12 paragraph 3. Maybe did we even go? No, I'm sorry. It's Josephus book 9 chapter 12 paragraph 1 through 2.
Okay. Josephus book 9 chapter 12 paragraph 1 page 262.
Let's do it.
Now Jotham died when he had lived 41 years, and of them reigned 16, and was buried in the sepulchres of the kings, and the kingdom came to his son Ahaz, who proved most impious toward the Most High, and a transgressor of the laws of his country. He imitated the kings of Israel, and reared altars in Jerusalem, and offered sacrifices upon them to idols, to which also he offered his own son as a burnt offering, according to the practices of the Canaanites. His other actions were also of the same sort. Now as he was going on in this mad course, Rezin, the king of Syria and Damascus, and Pekah, the king of Israel, who were now at amity one with another,
They were unified. Read on.
made war with him. And when they had driven them into Jerusalem, they besieged that city a long while, making but a small progress, on account of the strength of its walls. And when the king of Syria had taken the city Elah upon the Red Sea, and had slain the inhabitants, he peopled it with Syrians.
Mm-hmm.
And when he had slain those in the other garrisons, and the Jews in their neighborhood, and had driven away much prey, he returned with his army back to Damascus.
He brought people back too. It was all the neighboring cities of Judah. He brought people and spoils of war to Damascus. Read on.
Now when the king of Jerusalem knew that the Syrians were returned home, he, supposing himself a match for the king of Israel.
Here go the pride now. They stayed in their little area until the king of Syria left. Now they thought they could sit back and match up, head up against Israel, and then they get wiped out. Read on.
He, supposing himself a match for the king of Israel, drew out his army against him, and joining battle with him, was beaten. And this happened because the Most High was angry with him on account of his many and great enormities.
All this wickedness. He didn't want to think about the fact that Syria took me out because I was wicked. So now, Israel, I can beat them. The message never stuck. They never realized I'm out of order, and that's why I'm getting stumped. Read on.
Line 247. Accordingly, there were slain by the Israelites 120,000 of his men that day, whose general Amaziah by name slew Zechariah, the king's son, in his conflict with Ahaz, as well as the governor of the kingdom, whose name was Azrikam. He also carried Elkanah, the general of the troops of the tribe of Judah, into captivity. They also carried the women and children of the tribe of Benjamin captives. And when they had gotten a great deal of prey, they returned to Samaria.
Okay, read on.
Paragraph 2. Now there was one Obed, who was a prophet at that time in Samaria. He met the army before the city walls, and with a loud voice told them that they had gotten the victory not by their own strength, but by reason of the anger the Most High had against King Ahaz.
Listen, this is a prophecy, man. You didn't do this because you guys were just that talented. You guys did it because I'm not with Judah. I'm not with this dude Ahaz. Read on.
And he complained that they were not satisfied with the good success they had against him.
You can't just be happy that you won. You got to humiliate them. Read on.
But were so bold as to make captives out of their kinsmen, the tribes of Judah and Benjamin. He also gave them counsel to let them go home without doing them any harm. For that if they did not obey the Most High herein, they should be punished.
Done.
So the people of Israel came together to their assembly and considered of these matters. When a man whose name was Berechiah, and who was one of chief reputation in the government, stood up, and 3 others with him, and said, we will not suffer the citizens to bring these prisoners into the city, lest we be all destroyed by the Most High.
Exactly.
We have sins enough of our own that we have committed against him, as the prophets assure us. Nor ought we therefore to introduce the practice of new crimes. When the soldiers heard that, they permitted them to do what they thought best. So the 4 named men took the captives and let them go, and took care of them and gave them provisions, and sent them to their own country, without doing them any harm. However, these 4 went along with them and conducted them as far as Jericho, which is not far from Jerusalem, and returned to Samaria.
Okay, so we're going to hold that because we're going to go back to that. And let's do Second Chronicles 16, 16 verse 16 through 27.
2 Chronicles 28:16. At that time did King Ahaz send unto the kings of Assyria to help him. For
We know that. Listen, we read that earlier in 2 Kings,
Right.
that Ahaz sat back and went to Tiglath to help him in Syria. And what did he do? Tiglath did what he was told. He got, listen, 2 Kings goes into more details about that than this. He went and gave up all his money that he had in the temple storehouse and in his personal storehouse. Tiglath came out and wiped out Rezin, killed Rezin, took out the Assyrian Empire, and sent all of them, including their servants, which was Judah, up there to Assyria for captivity. He wiped it out. Read on.
For again the Edomites had come and smitten Judah and carried away captives.
So now it wasn't just Israel that took out, the northern kingdom took out Judah. Now Edom's taking out Judah. Most High is constantly busting this guy up, huh? With more losses and more losses. Read on.
The Philistines also
Oh
had
man, they
invaded
came
the
too.
cities of the
Crazy.
low
I'm
country.
surprised that nobody just did a coup on this guy and killed him like Judah was doing back in the day.
Yeah.
That's what Judah was doing. It was running these guys off that was causing calamity. But it also shows that Judah is getting affected more and more by this idolatry.
Yeah.
And more of the people are starting to lean to the side of idolatry, whereas before the nation as a whole was still strong. Okay? So then you got Edom, Syria, Northern Kingdom, and the Philistines are invading Judah. Read on.
The Philistines also had invaded the cities of the low country and of the south of Judah, and had taken Beth Shemesh and Ajalon
This is crazy.
and Jederoth.
This guy wants to sit back and break laws and kill babies, huh? This is what happens. Read on.
And had taken Beth Shemesh and Ajalon and Jederoth and Shoko with the villages thereof, and Timnath with the villages thereof, Gimzo also and the villages thereof, and they dwelt there. For the Most High brought Judah low because of Ahaz, king of Israel, for he had made Judah naked and transgressed sore against the Most High. And Tilgath Pilneser, and Tilgath-Pilneser, king of Assyria, came unto him and distressed him, but strengthened him not.
So listen, after he got that money, he wanted more money. Tiglath wanted more money. Hey, I'm going to distress you now. Then you didn't show me your money. I want more of it. Well, we're going to sit back and distress you. It's very simple. Read on.
For Ahaz took away a portion out of the house of the Most High, and out of the house of the king, and of the princes, and gave it unto the king of Assyria, but he helped him not.
How about this? The second time he asked Tiglath to help him against these Edomites and these Philistines and all these little minor people, he didn't help him. He just took the money. He said, what you going to do? You going to sit back and fight me? He said, all you guys have been busted up. The point is this. Tiglath took out Syria because that was a mutual enemy that he wanted to take out anyway.
It benefited him.
He said, that's the point. So you're paying me to do something I was already going to do. Cool. But now he's like, okay, you're going to fight the Philistines and the Edomites and all these little whack, little minor dudes. I don't care. Why am I going to send my people out? I'm just going to take your money because you're offering it. So that's what Tiglath is
Bad
doing.
decision Ahaz.
Listen, Ahaz in a bad spot.
Yeah.
But Tiglath is punking them because you're weak. They're in a weak position. Read on.
And in the time of his distress did he trespass yet more against the Most High.
Wow.
This is that king Ahaz.
This is that guy. Ahaz was a beast. He already denied the Most High's offerings, and he keeps doubling down. The more losses he takes, the wickeder he gets. Read on.
For he sacrificed unto the gods of Damascus,
The gods of Damascus.
which smote him. And he said, because the gods of the kings of Syria helped them, therefore will I sacrifice to them, and they may help me, that they may help me. But they were the ruin of him in all Israel.
But what's crazy is, yes, Syria took you down, but Assyria took them down. And you still want to depend on serious gods? He says that was the downfall of Israel. Read on.
And Ahaz gathered together the vessels of the house of the Most High, and cut in pieces the vessels of the house of the Most High, and shut up the doors of the house of the Most High.
Think about this. It got even worse. This is how he doubled down. He took all the gold, anything of value, out of the house of the Most High, and shut it down. He just shut down Bible class. There's no Bible class.
No class.
There's nothing Bible related going on. We're shutting it down. Everything house of the Lord related is done. And we read earlier in 2 Kings chapter 16 that he took the altar, the brazen altar, and took it to the north and just used the other altar to burn sacrifices to his gods. But while doing that, what it didn't say in 2 Kings, that he shut down the altar. He took all the gold, everything of monetary, carnal value. He stripped it and shut the doors and locked the damn Bible doors out. He locked the priests out of the temple out. Y'all got can I see your yellow marker? Just toss it. It's cool. This dude is crazy, bro. This Ahaz took Israel to a new low. He took them to a new low. Bible wasn't getting taught. Sacrifices wasn't getting made the right way. The priests weren't allowed to thrive. It's almost like the Most High had to sit back and neutralize Ahaz's wickedness with a great man to even keep Israel afloat.
Yeah, they needed it.
Israel, the people needed Hezekiah, who came afterward, to sit back and neutralize this man's wickedness. So listen, read verse 24 again.
24.
The house of the Lord was shut down, the doors were closed. Read on.
And Ahaz gathered together the vessels of the house of the Most High, and cut in pieces the vessels of the house of the Most High, and shut up the doors of the house of the Most High.
Because he couldn't make no money off it. Read on.
And he made him altars in every corner of Jerusalem.
Why do you think he did that? He was so mad the Most High. Most High gave him this opening his door, and he turned his back on the Most High. The Most High kept cursing loss after loss after loss. He's just taking L's out. And in response to taking these L's, he's more bitter towards the Most High. He's doing that. It's almost he's doing everything he can to piss the Most High despite it. That's what he's doing. Read on. What's that?
It's like fighting them.
He is, Read on. I'm sorry.
And in every several city of Judah he made high places to burn incense unto other gods.
Damn, but let me see that marker again. I stopped too early. It is horrible. Not only you shut the temple down, you're setting up decrees for all the small cities to sit back and make high places out. This is crazy. I got in the back. I just didn't want to get up. This is crazy. So he's sitting back here and he's forcing the rest of the nation to follow idols out. He's pushing it out.
Yeah, he's promoting.
This guy's a bad guy. Ahaz a bad guy. Ahaz. Read on.
And in every several city of Judah he made high places to burn incense unto other gods, and provoked to anger the Most High thy power of his fathers. Now the rest of his acts in all his ways, first and last, behold, they are written in the book of the kings of Judah and Israel. And Ahaz slept with his fathers, and they buried him in the city.
There we go.
Even
they buried him in the city. They didn't bury him in the sepulchres with the kings. They just put his thing in the ground somewhere. It's going to tell you. Read on that.
Even in Jerusalem. But they brought him not into the sepulchres of the kings of Israel.
He didn't earn it out. He didn't earn it out. So, sometimes Kings doesn't get the details that Chronicles get from Judah. So they say, listen, man, not Hezekiah, but Ahaz didn't earn the mark of being in the same sepulcher as David. Read on.
And Hezekiah his son reigned in his stead.
Okay. So we're going to let that verse go and now go back to Josephus, book 9, chapter 12, paragraph 3.
Yeah. Josephus, book 9, chapter 12, paragraph 3, page 262. Hereupon,
I'm just looking at something. I'm setting something else up. I'm not sure if I want to do this. Give me 1 second.
line 252.
Yeah, I do want to do this, huh?
He'll triple down.
Yeah, read on.
Hereupon King Ahaz, having been so thoroughly beaten by the Israelites, sent to Tiglath-Pileser, king of the Assyrians, and sued for assistance from him in his war against the Israelites, and Syrians, and Damascus, with a promise to send him much money. He sent him also great presents at the same time. Now this king, upon the reception of those ambassadors, came to assist Ahaz, and made war upon the Syrians, and laid their country waste, and took Damascus by force, and slew Rezin their king, and transplanted the people of Damascus into Upper Media.
So listen, Upper Media, that was one of the places where there was a revolt, it talks about in later history, and a lot of those people ended up leaving from Upper Media and going up north. And those are the ones, I can't say with 100% fact, but a lot of those people that came from Media, from those prison camps, they end up migrating northeast, and that ends up eventually being where the Vikings end up raising. So a lot of those guys that was up there, they went up north and they became Vikings. But those guys were Judites. So let's continue.
And transplanted the people of Damascus into Upper Media, and brought a colony of Assyrians and planted them in Damascus. He also afflicted the land of Israel, and took many captives out of it. While he was doing thus with the Syrians, King Ahaz took all the gold there was in the king's treasures, and the silver, and what was in the temple of the Most High, and what precious gifts were there. And he carried them with him, and came to Damascus, and give it to the king of Assyria, according to his agreement. So he confessed that he owed him thanks for all that he had done for him, and returned to Jerusalem. Now this king was so sottish,
This is dumb. Read on.
and thoughtless of what was for his own good, that he would not leave off worshiping the Syrian gods when he was beaten by them. But he went on in worshiping them, as though they would procure him the victory.
That's stupid.
And when he was beaten again, he began to honor the gods of the Assyrians.
There you go. Now he's like, man, these guys ain't working for me no more.
So we just flip flops.
Let me go to the winning. Listen. That's like a guy sitting back here. You was a 49ers fan and they lost. Now you don't wear a Chiefs hat out. And next year if Philly wins, I'm wearing a Philly hat out.
Philly
you gonna
man.
keep putting different hats on for what the team's at. It's crazy. It's no one they don't win, so you can't put that hat on.
It's been a long time, bro.
So let's keep going.
Line 256.
He's a front runner. Let's keep going.
And when he was beaten again, he began to honor the gods of the Assyrians.
That's whack.
And he seemed more desirous to honor any other gods than his own paternal and true powers, whose anger was the cause of his defeat. Nay, he proceeded to such a degree of despite and contempt of the Most High's worship that he shut up the temple entirely, and forbade them to bring in the appointed sacrifices, and took away the gifts that had been given to it. And when he had,
Bad, bro. This guy had a hatred towards the Most High. Wow. Hatred.
Robin Hood.
Kinda.
And when he had offered these indignities to the Most High, he died.
Wait. Okay.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
That he shut up the temple entirely and forbade them to bring in the appointed sacrifices and took away the gifts that had been given to it. Now read on.
And when he had offered these indignities to the Most High, he died, having lived 36 years, and out of them reigned 16. And he left his son Hezekiah for his successor.
So I'm trying to find he gave these indignities. Okay. Instead of giving the right gifts, he gave indignities to the Most High.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Listen, he might have tried to put some pork on the swine flesh at the altar, right? Who the hell knows? When he tried to sit back and offer the wrong things to the Most High, that's when he died. That's too much. He gave all
Musa had mad
sacrifices.
mercy though.
He did.
Musa had a lot of mercy with this guy, bro.
Yep.
This guy is an object to show us how merciful the Most High is. You know he's stupid. You know he's an idiot.
Yes.
Well, he show you how far the Most High's mercy goes. A lot of brothers have the spirit of, I've done too much, and I was too
Most
deep.
High's not fair.
I was too deep in the world, and I've done too much. I've done too much negative, and that people have this all is lost spirit, this defeatist mentality when it comes to serving Christ.
Yeah.
But when you read the Bible, you see how merciful the Father truly is. So he's just trying to get us to focus on, okay, this is attempt number 153 about getting you to see
4,080.
Yeah, 4,080. Now it's time to go ahead and focus on what direction I need to go to show the Most High I'm trying to be right in alignment with Him. He's trying to get us to be in alignment. We want to dwell on, we keep doubling. He's a great archetype to show how we double down. Because we do the same doubling down, it's just not as extreme. But we still crash our life. We crash our life.
And Israel gets, you know what it shows you? Israel gets angry at the Most High when they don't get what they want, when they don't find success, and they keep doing more negative because they're angry at the Most High.
Yeah, it's not just the idolatry. It's you're mad at the Father.
Yes.
Because He that despises man, despises not man,
But the Most High.
but the Most High. Where's it in the Bible? Where's that?
That's Thessalonians.
Is that the New Testament?
There we go.
Oh, here we go.
There we go.
I guess Paul got it right again. I guess Paul's parallel, and everything Paul says came from the Bible. I'm done for the day.
Thank you, man. I have nothing else to say. Close the books.
But it's a good lesson for us.
Huh?
It's never over for a man as long as the man has the opportunity to act. If a man can just be honest with himself and say, listen, admit fault. We don't be admitting fault, bro.
Huh? These are all facts, bro. Let me see. Do we want to go on this? Because I was going to go maybe a couple more verses that did with Pekah and how Pekah gets taken out. No, we're going to leave it at that, man. Huh? You want to do it?
Yeah.
All right.
Forget
about it. Forget about it.
Forget about it.
Okay, let's do this. Let's go to
But does it say how he died? Does it say how the guy died? Or
what? No. 2 Kings, chapter 17, verse 1 through 3. It's not going to be a whole lot. We just want to wrap a bow on Pekah so we can move on from this guy. Because now Rezin's dead. We got Ahaz is dead. Now we can sit back and get to the finality of Pekah, which is the northern kingdom of Israel's king, and go into his death. Then we'll wrap a bow on this Sabbath day today. So 2 Kings chapter 17, verse 1 through 3.
2 Kings 17 and 1. In the 12th year of Ahaz, king of Judah, began Hosea, the son of Elah, to reign in Samaria over Israel 9 years. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Most High, but not as the kings of Israel that were before him. Against him came up Shalmaneser, king of Assyria, and Hosea became his servant and gave him presents.
Now listen, on that point, he gave him presents and all that stuff. But we have to understand, Hosea was put into power by Tiglath-Pileser before that. He was a plant because Pekah wasn't locking in to the Assyrian Empire. Well, remember, Pekah did a deal with Rezin. Remember that? And that pissed off Assyria. So now we're going to read it again. I read it earlier, but in BKC, Bible Knowledge Commentary, page 568, it said, Hosea conspired against Pekah, assassinated him, and succeeded him as king of Israel in 732 BC. On one of the Assyrian inscriptions, Tiglath claims to have had a hand in establishing Hosea on the throne. Okay, evidently, Hosea submitted to being a pawn of Assyria, as Menahem and Pekahiah had done. So that's just an understanding. So when they sat back here, when Pekah died and got wiped out by Hosea, Hosea was backed by the Assyrian government. He was that puppet that helped establish regime change, so the northern kingdom can stay in pocket with Tiglath. Now, when you're reading in chapter 17 and verse 3, eventually Tiglath dies, and Shalmaneser is the new king. So now Hoshea, who was serving Tiglath, is now a servant or a vassal to Shalmaneser initially. Okay? Initially. Now we're going to go to Josephus, book 9, chapter 13, just the first portion of chapter 1. And I'll tell you where to stop. It's not a lot.
Okay. Book 9, Book 9, chapter 13, paragraph 1. About the same time Pekah, the king of Israel, died by the treachery of a friend of his, whose name was Hoshea, who retained the kingdom 9 years' time, but was a wicked man and a despiser of the divine worship. And Shalmaneser, the king of Assyria, made an expedition against him and overcame him, which must have been because he had not the Most High favorable nor assistant to him, and brought him into submission and ordered him to pay an appointed tribute.
So a lot of times you got a new king comes in, he has to sit back and set the terms, show that force, and make sure everybody knows he's not to be messed with, just like the other king. Shalmaneser shows his force, his power, and he forces Hosea to bend the knee, even though Hosea had already bent the knee to Tiglath earlier.
Yeah.
Okay? And we're going to leave it at that. Because the next part goes into Hezekiah. We'll do that next week. That's a lot of meat there dealing with Hezekiah. Are there any questions? Statements, beef, complaints? Yes, you did have a question earlier.
The bush, the fire bush, it was on fire, but it wasn't burning.
Exactly. That's how they knew the Most High was there. Because it was abnormal to science. It wasn't a natural phenomenon, a natural situation. For a bush to be on fire, but you can still see the bush.
Was it a smokeless fire? Was it smokeless?
I cannot confirm or deny that there was smoke or no smoke. I don't know. Okay?
Yeah, that's
Cool.
good.
All right, listen our prayers up. Majim Punya Yerushalayim. Rise and face Jerusalem. The east, Jerusalem the east. Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, please listen to us right now. Send Micah and the righteous angels to watch over, bless, heal, protect, and make strong the people of Yasharallah. Also send unto us much wisdom, much knowledge, much understanding, much patience, much faith, much brotherhood, and much love, spiritual power, and forgive all of our sins. Yahweh Shai come quickly, for in thee is our hope, always and forever. Amen. Birthday, how about Hashem Yahushua?
Bless you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, that gives us the law.
Birthday, how about Hashem Yahushua?
Bless you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, that gives us the light to see.
Birthday, how about Hashem Yahushua?
Bless you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, that gives us the ram's horn to call the people.
Birthday, how about Hashem Yahushua? Hahawa'a, Nathanawa, Shaman, Zayat, Lamashak, Yasharallah.
Bless you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, that gives us the olive oil to anoint Israel.
Psalms 92. It is a good thing to give thanks unto the Lord.
It is a good thing to give thanks unto the Lord.
And to sing praise unto thy name.
And sing praise unto thy name.
O Yahweh.
O Yahweh.
To show forth thy loving kindness in the morning.
To show forth thy loving kindness in the morning.
And thy faithfulness every night.
And thy faithfulness every night.
Upon an instrument of 10 strings.
Upon an instrument of 10 strings.
And upon the psaltery.
Upon the psaltery.
Upon the harp.
Upon the harp.
With the solemn sound.
With the solemn sound.
For thou Yahweh.
For thou Yahweh.
Hast made me glad through thy works.
Has made me glad through thy works.
I will triumph, in the works of thy hands. O Yahweh, how great are thy works, and thy thoughts are very deep. A brutish man knoweth not, neither doth the fool understand it. When the wicked spring is the grass, and when all the workers of iniquity do flourish, it is that they shall be destroyed forever. But thou Yahweh art most high forevermore. For lo thy enemies, O Yahweh, for lo thy enemies shall perish. All the workers of iniquity shall be scattered. But my horn shalt thou exalt, like the horn of a unicorn. I shall be anointed with fresh oil. Mine eye also shall see. My desire on my enemies. And my ear shall hear. My desire of the wicked. That rise up against me. The righteous shall flourish like the palm tree. He shall grow like a cedar in Lebanon. Those that be planted in the house of the Lord shall flourish in the courts of our power. They shall still bring forth fruit in old age. They shall be fat and flourishing. To show that the Lord is upright. He is my rock. There is no unrighteousness in him. By Hashem Yahushua. Psalms 133. Shayar, Hama'ayawa, La Duwad, Hana, Ma, Tawab, Wama, Na'ayam, Shabbat, Akim, Gam, Yachad, Hashaman, Hatawab, Ayo, Hara'ash, Yaran, Ayo, Hasakwan, Zakwan, Aharan, Shayaran, Ayo, Hayah, Harawat Yawa, Qatar, Karamwan, Shayaran, Ayo, Haroya, Tazayawan, Kaya, Sham, Hazawah, Kahar, Habaraka, Kayayam, Arwalam, Basham Yashah.
Psalm 133. Behold how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. It is like the precious ointment upon the head that ran down upon the beard, even Aaron's beard, that went down to the skirts of his garments, and as the dew of Hermon, and as the dew that descended upon the mountains of Zion. For there the Lord commanded the blessing, even life forevermore. Amen.
Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushua, Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushua, Rachnawa, Rashradim, Rabiyat, Sepoyim, Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushua, Rachnawa, Rashradim, Rabiyat, Sepoyim, Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushua, Rachnawa, Rashradim, Rabiyat, Sepoyim, Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushua, Rachnawa, Rashradim, Rabiyat, Sepoyim. Rock they hope, rock they hope shot, rock they hope, rock they hope shot, all knowledge, all wisdom, all understanding, all love, all mercy, all patience, all power, power we hope, all power, power we hope, all power, power we hope. Basham, Yahushua, Wada, Yat, Aman. So look.
Are we going to do it?
You want to do it?
Saluting out in the heavenly order. Yahweh, Yahushua, who will call Israel and Israel, imagine. Right? And on top, turn off his sisters.
Man Shabbat Shalom.
Smoothing out the daughters of Zion from Israel, imagine. Rock.
Yashmatap, dismiss. Fall out. Shalom, everybody. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see y'all on Monday.